Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning from wherever you are. And welcome to this Monday edition of The World's Gone Insane. Let's talk about it. Soon we will be changing the name of this podcast to something else. I don't know yet, but we will be changing the name. On that note, it's just me and Zam at the moment. We may have other people join us, but we are using a new streaming platform here, so I want to see if this works on it now that we're live.
We're all so far,
You hear that?
so far, far,
Yes, I can.
far beyond compare, far beyond repair.
Epic. Copyright that, YouTube, you bastards.
Lovely. Good, that works. That was just a little thing I put in AI. I wanted a song just to say that we're fucked. And that I'm glad that works. So okay. Well, with that being said, might as well get into it. Oh, hang on. Before we do, I need to make sure I can see. Is this it? Chat for the comments. Here we go. Right. Hello, Rick B.
Bottom right
Now
hand
we go.
corner.
Yeah, got it. That's it.
Hello, Rick
You'll have
B.
to excuse me getting used to new software that we're using. So we'll start with the biggest and quite frankly the most unifying news of the week and well of last week now, but still, of course, yeah, unless you are literally living with your thumb up your ass or you're a boomer with no idea what's going on, you would have seen that United Health CEO, don't remember his name, not relevant, was assassinated in New York City, and the world literally rejoiced, or at least every American from both sides of the political spectrum that isn't in bed with the establishment, that is an ordinary working class person, rejoiced. And the establishment has had an absolute meltdown over it. They are clutching their pearls, and it's been the most, in all my years on the internet, this has been one of the best things I've ever seen because it is I've never seen people so united before, and it was great to see. And yeah, unfortunately, we don't have any Americans on this stream at the moment that can kind of talk to us about the living hell they go through dealing with their health insurance in the United States. But we've seen plenty of comments and sadly, quite frankly, a lot of sad stories as well because people were like, "I'm sorry, I can't, you know, say that murder is wrong when this guy like denied, this guy's company denied my family coverage and my mum died or my dad died or my daughter died and all this kind of stuff because they were denied coverage, which meant they can't afford to pay for their health care and sadly copped it. And that's this is why many people, and I've had pushback on this stream, but I said all you need to do just take just one person to do this kind of thing, and you will see shivers down the spines of those in charge, and that's what we've seen to the point where our resident moron Elon Musk uh, is now carrying his child around with him everywhere he goes as a fucking bullet shield, practically, because you've never in your life seen him with his kid. That's speculation, by the way. But you'd never in your life see him walk around with his kids. But since that CEO got killed, you see him carrying his kid around everywhere. So before I rant on, Zam, your thoughts on the events that transpired?
I actually think it's rather disgusting by Elon Musk because he should be protecting his kid, but he's using his kid as a way to deflect the notion of a killer to want to attack him. I'm not saying he's using his kid as a shield. I mean, he is and he isn't to a degree, but he's
Not
like
as a
he's
literal
trying to.
bullet shield,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. But we're trying to put the killer off from killing him, and it shows you where he stands as a human being. By that, plus he's got so many fucking kids. He thinks, you know what, they're disposable. Like his staff.
literally,
So
yeah.
where I stand on this, yeah, well, this is no different to me than when those guys on the submarine got killed last year. Did anyone actually give a shit? No, they were making memes and jokes and taking the piss out of him. It was exactly the same thing. This time around, with those people, it was an accident. This time around, it wasn't an assassination, and we've been shamed by certain people in the media to feel sorry for what's happened. You see the way the media is going on and the police is going on, like we need to get this guy and all of this sort of stuff. For the first time, the NYPD has finally pulled out their fucking finger to to do a murder investigation of some sort because this that shit happens so often in America. It's just another fucking day. So why they're never usually asked. Will this set a precedent? I don't know. I hope it. Did I say I hope it does?
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I hope
yeah,
it
yeah.
does. No, look. um,
Can I
I,
say that without getting reprimanded? That's what I'm more worried about.
look, we're
You
just
know,
saying we're just saying let's hope it sets the precedent. That's all we're saying. And if that precedent is that the repercussions are that the knock-on effects are that we get change and the billionaire class kind of understand that this could happen to any one of you anytime. And if you wanted to get a massive crowd of people with their Second Amendments, then you can't stop them. And that's the message that needs to keep resonating. And it's the message that because revolutions are always violent, they're never non-violent. Okay, we see it all the time when people get overthrown. Okay, even if it's sponsored by the West, it's done with guns. And the same thing over here. You need to know your presence out there to say, hey, you know what? I can't literally afford to live in this system. Everything is unaffordable. My food costs a fortune. My rent costs a fortune. In America's case, my medical bills cost a fortune. Enough is enough. And if more, and I've said it before in this past, you have to target shareholders, CEOs, and the billionaire class. Any which way you feel appropriate. That's all I can say about that because obviously I don't want to get into too much trouble. But what I mean is like just make their life as miserable as yours is so that there's no respite until there is change. Uh, carry
no, I'm gonna comment here. Do you think
arrested
there's
the murderer,
yeah, they arrested the murder apparently, allegedly.
allegedly.
Um, yeah, I've been hearing some stories regarding that, but we'll see where that goes. But like America's the land of pew pews. Let's not forget that, Rick B.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean they want people to be fully armed and loaded. This might change now, but if rich people start and powerful people start getting targeted, they could easily spin this shit and try to get the guns off the very people that they feel that they should have guns. But once again, once the rich and powerful are the ones who are getting targeted, then you see certain things happening. And in this particular case, they're ramping up security for a start. Is it okay to kill people if they make a lot of money? I think you're misunderstanding the point, dude. You
completely
mean,
misunderstood the point, but you always do, Rick.
yeah,
You're so fucking myopic. Like, I mean, that is, of all the things you've ever said, that is probably the stupidest comment you've ever made. So all I will say this: you can make as much money as you want, but not at the detriment of other people. This CEO has literal fucking blood on his hand. He has killed thousands of people by denying them health insurance. So, yes, in that instance, it's absolutely okay. It's absolutely okay to take out people that are going to do policies that will literally make your life unlivable, that will literally make your life a misery and difficult with no justification other than purely for profit. If you're a person, you run a business, you treat your workers fairly, and you make a fuck ton of money and you pay your fair share of taxes, go do what you want. Go do, no,
how many
nobody would argue against that.
how many people has that CEO killed by denying them healthcare? You
Thousands,
know,
literally thousands, since he's been in charge.
who's the murderer right now, Rick B? Because I think, if anything, if you saw somebody going around killing people and you killed that person, you'd be looked upon as a hero. How is
Yeah,
this any different? Just because the guy's weapon happens to be a pen. doesn't mean that he's not a fucking murderer for the amount
And
of people who have died, paying for insurance that is supposed to be helping them.
and the thing is as well, like you're so propagandized to think that what this person is doing is justified. Like, yeah, oh well, he's running a business. It's not. When it comes to your health, there shouldn't be a business motive in it. That's why we created the NHS. Okay, because we shouldn't have a business motive. Now, sadly, subsequent leaders are just ramping up privatization of our own health service and all for the profit motive. And like, this is why I keep saying, don't let them. That they're literally playing with your life, and if they're playing with your life, then you should take action to make sure that the status quo of the NHS is preserved at any cost. This is like the NHS should be the equivalent of a mother battling to save her child, and that's it. In this country, we are all come under the same agreement that the NHS is like our sacred cow, and anyone that gets in a way. This is why West Streeting nearly lost in the general election by only 500 seats. He kept his seat, and he's going to lose when at the next time he goes in, because everybody knows he's deeply in bed with the health insurance companies of America. And so, no, I have no sympathy. There isn't a good billionaire on the planet. Like, there isn't one. Maybe you could argue maybe Warren Buffett, but I'm sure there's a lot of skeletons in his closet. But I was saying, I wrote in a post on Facebook about like Bill Gates, how he's monopolized vaccines and all this kind of stuff, and monopolized patents, and literally forcing third world countries to kind of use his stuff. He bribes and he pushes and threatens governments to kind of use that stuff that he's patented and he's owned to purely for profit. And he's part of the cabal of people that block other countries from making cheaper alternatives. And this guy's a motherfucking techie. You know what I mean? Elon Musk, abysmal
Zuckerberg as
with
well.
workers' rights. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest welfare, the biggest. He is your atypical so-called foreigner that comes in and just leeches off the taxpayer and doesn't contribute much to society. His cars are shit. SpaceX is, up and down
Government
all the
funded.
fucking time. Yeah, and it's bleeding fucking money. So it's
People were losing their shit, including my cousins. Like, they were losing their shit over the fact that his rocket finally landed back into the port where it took off from, which is pretty cool in its own right.
oh, that's awesome. But he didn't do it.
Teams here, let's add her in. Yeah, I know that. I know he didn't do it,
Hey,
but
Chris.
like,
Hey,
we're not going to Mars in 10, 15 years. We're not even going to be going to Mars in your fucking lifetime. And when I say we, I mean as a unit, as a big group of people. That's not happening anytime soon. That rocket trick which we saw Elon Musk do, that has to happen hundreds of fucking times before we can be totally secure with the fact that we can be doing this shit and going into space and all of that, and then coming back and landing and all of that bollocks. There's so many the variables required to go to fucking Mars. I don't think our brain can contemplate. So we're not going anytime fucking soon. He's getting government subsidies to fucking do all of this shit. He's not even using his own goddamn money, and people are happy about that. This is your taxpayer money for SpaceX. And if Elon Musk wasn't around, because some people are concerned about SpaceX and stuff like that, and they want Elon Musk to stay for that, but we don't need Elon Musk for that. We don't even need the fucking money for that. It's been run by the government, as I said earlier. It might as well be goddamn NASA.
Yeah.
What we need
I'd
are the
literally
fucking
just
scientists.
absorb it into
and-
NASA.
Yeah, I mean, the scientists and engineers who are making this shit work, not Elon Musk. He's just living off their reputation. So Elon Musk is not required for any of that fucking shit. Elon
No.
Musk can go fuck himself.
And he's so stupid, or just knows that he can get money for anything, that he literally thought that the best way to cut traffic is to drill tunnels underground for cars. And it's just like, we have trains for that. That's what the train is for. But you got a load of money and you built a tunnel in Las Vegas, and it's a fucking death trap.
I saw that because, like, if one of those cars gets stopped in the tunnel. Everyone behind them are fucked. There's no way to get around the car or anything like that.
Yeah,
You can't even open the doors because the tunnel is just like it's
yeah,
like
And the
it makes me
exhaust,
yeah,
if you
all of
got
that shit.
stuck, if you got
yes.
stuck down there, and just the exhaust alone would kill people, right? If they couldn't get out, or if there was a car fire, you couldn't get out, death trap.
Oh, sorry. Just what I'm just trying to say, Cheeto, is that all of these things can still be done without Musk at the helm. He doesn't need to be at the helm. His money is not necessarily being used; it's run by the government. He is not an engineer. He's not a scientist. He's not doing any of this work. He's hired these people to do it. They can still do it. They can still be getting paid by the government, and maybe Musk won't be taking anything from the top either. So he doesn't need to be there. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, and he can fuck off into the wilderness, and the people running the project can still run the project without him at the helm. That's all I'm saying.
And
Yeah.
and not only that, he steers the company too into these billionaire whims of his that waste time, energy, and money, and he mistreats his employees. So yeah, get rid of him.
Yeah, massively mistreated his employees. Oh, okay. So you're pulled on a rail rather than
Oh,
exhaust.
really?
So
I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that. Well, that's fair enough.
Because well, what he tried to do was like make it flash different lights and shit like that. Heaven forbid if you suffer from fucking epilepsy. You know what I mean? And you
Yeah.
got this fucking you're going through this tunnel which is supposed to be some sort of glorified fucking discotheque.
But
It's just
all you need,
bollocks.
just fucking trains. That's all you need. Just build fucking America's like no other country. I mean, America's so far behind in the railway system that you even put like the global south is way ahead of you on its railway systems, and they're expanding and improving on it because of the Belt and Road Initiative with China, which is something I don't really like either. But when African countries are stuck between a rock and a hard place of being fisted by Western imperialism or having to deal with Chinese imperialism and then rampant fucking racist attitudes towards African people, the Chinese system actually helps develop your country, whereas the Western system is, yeah, look, we'll take all your stuff and back off, or we'll just shoot you, kind of thing. So yeah, uh, none of this would be possible without Musk's investment. It's only because they had a private company that they could spunk money towards. Because Bush himself just didn't give a shit about NASA, from what I remember. I might be wrong. Because if it's a government run agency, they don't want to give it any fucking money. Okay? And yeah, a SpaceX wouldn't be a thing if Musk wasn't, siphoning money off of it. But Bush just he wasn't interested in space exploration, all this kind of shit. So it's a waste of time. But there's always a blank check for your military, Cheeto. Always a blank check, and nobody ever talks about the costs there. But everyone's so fixated on your social security costs and on your costs for your welfare and your cost for fucking NASA or your cost for anything kind of government run. All of a sudden, oh my god, the deficit. But when it comes to selling guns to the world, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, fucking,
Giving
And
anything
if
Israel
you look
wants.
at if you look at it like this, all the money they're pouring into SpaceX, and then you look at welfare programs, it's like one's a drop and the other's the ocean.
yeah.
And everyone's complaining about the drop. You know.
And the thing is, we've said it once, and it's proven time and time again. A robust welfare system pays for itself because if people have good safety nets, it causes a lot less issues and it helps with upwards
Health and
mobility. Eh,
health and welfare,
exactly.
ability to go to school longer and get a better education.
Yeah. But if we sit here and just bloody we attack that, and as I say, like in the UK, we do the same thing. It's always like always attacking people on benefits, always. But a thousand people don't even take up a third of the amount of the benefits that a rich person does by siphoning off their money off to tax havens, and for the amount of money that they don't actually pay in tax at all as a business, like
And
corporation tax.
And the money
and
that, sorry,
and the government contracts that their friends give them, billions in PPI loans and for your PPE things during COVID, that they didn't even have to provide anything. They just got given billions of pounds. Christine.
and when they put their money out in tax havens, that money doesn't get recirculated into the economy. Whereas middle and lower class people that go out and have a job, get paid, that money gets recirculated. It goes to buy groceries so the government can tax it then. It goes to pay the store's employees where you bought your groceries. It's taxed again. So those taxes can be used to strengthen that community, build better roads, better schools. But then all this money that these rich people have, they go and put it offshore. It doesn't get recirculated. So you can't use it to strengthen your community anymore. You know what I mean? It's
Exactly.
safe from taxes.
Yeah, and this is the whole point of it. You know, it's whatever makes money for a handful of people. They rich sociopaths and right wingers don't ever think you have to invest in your own people to move forward. You know, it's it's just it shows yourself like Scandinavian countries, even the communist countries that came out dirt poor into the Western world. Their people still had phenomenal safety nets and free education and free healthcare and all that crap. And that's why, like, you're back during the communist era, your standard Russian was like a fucking like goddamn walking genius that knew everything because they had a robust education system. Since communism fell in Russia, they've become among the stupidest people in Europe now. So, because again, it all just got sucked up into capital and privateers, and you know about the Russian oligarchs. I mean, they practically own the Conservative Party here and the Republicans in the States, and that's what it is. A
And
handful of
now they're
people.
interfering here.
Oh, and in
Big
Canada,
time.
yeah, everywhere, everywhere. Like it doesn't matter. Like your billionaires, be they Russian, be they Indian, be they American, they're going to interfere in foreign politics. And we push policies to make it a lot easier. So people like fucking Nigel Farage can get hundreds of thousands of pounds from Americans. Even Elon Musk wants to fund him so he could be like the next prime minister. And, you know, and the way the media, you can see how the propaganda and the media unfolds here. Because Nigel Farage is on TV every single day. And Reform are now second to the Conservative Party in the latest polls, and Labour have dropped to third because Labour came in, they carried on Conservative policies, and people are like, well, why did I vote for you? So now Labour are like, oh, we actually have to help people because, again, our politicians are so detached from reality that they just keep thinking that we don't notice these things. Like they don't understand just how bad the cost of living crisis is in the UK. It's bad. We are poorer per capita now than we were in the fucking forget the Victorian era, pre-industrial Britain. We are poorer now than what we were in pre-industrial Britain. Like the levels of poverty in this country. I mean, only Greece matches us in terms of poverty in Europe. And again, austerity, rampant privatization, transferring all the wealth to the top. Okay, nobody is buying the system anymore, so you have to give us something. Otherwise, you'll end up like the fucking CEO. And the more unalived CEOs we get, the better this world will be. Let's be fucking
Well,
frank.
it's going to be a while here before it happens in Canada because I think a lot of people are going to have to learn firsthand because they can't conceive other people's issues or they don't want to even understand other people's issues. It's going to have to hit them first. And right now, Elon has come straight out and said he supports our conservative leader, Pierre Poliev,
Yeah.
and he's an ass. He's a fucking ignorant fucking ass, and I hope he sees this. He's a fucking dick. I hate him. I hate him. Hate him. Sorry. Did I say I hate him?
No, not
Not
enough.
enough.
Anyway.
No. Premier of Ontario, also a conservative, Doug Ford, who I think's back on the pipe, and that's coming from an addict, recovered addict. Uh, he has a history. He was on the the Tonight Show or whatever it was. He talked about it. There's video of him doing it. I'm sure he's back on it. Just let Elon put in satellites over northern Ontario. So we've got, was it Starlink?
Starlink, yeah.
Yeah, in my area now. So he's control over what I see when I see it, and I look at Ukraine, and I don't think it's going to get as bad. But he shut stuff down. He's
Yeah.
got a switch. He can shut
Yeah.
it down, and I don't want him involved in anything. I'm talking about Elon.
Yeah.
Anything to do with my country. Get him the F out. And he's quite obviously backing our conservative premier, who is a sociopath and will do anything Elon, like he said, Trump light. He worships Trump. He says it right out. He wants Elon here doing shit for money for himself. He's only out for himself, Pierre Polyev. And I'm so afraid that we're the United States 2.0.
Oh, well, look, by the time the next, and yeah, you know, apart from your other comment, Rick, which was as stupid as always, the other one is, yeah, Labour will be a one-term party. I think we're entering the era now of one-term parties and one-term governments because everything would just, people are so angry, but they're also incredibly stupid because they're too lazy to do their own research to just say, oh, I'm just going to keep writing right wing and then further right wing and then further right wing. And it's like, oh, why aren't things getting better for me? Why aren't things getting better for me? And people on the left are like, okay, so you know that thing with the CEO? That's what we've been saying, and that's what they've been doing to the left post, well, actually, since the turn of the 20th century. That thing, they've been doing that to the left, so you can get to the situation where that CEO can make your life a fucking misery because we've depowered unions and stripped away people's rights and vilified the left beyond repair because they keep thinking we're this weird boogeyman. The only thing that you need to be afraid about the left is that we wouldn't have a world of billionaires. And it's like, oh, we've seen what billionaires do. They just, the more they get, they have an insane amount of power and sway, and it just shouldn't be allowed. Like Elon Musk can literally get whatever he fucking wants while the rest of us suffer. What kind of world is that? And I fear that our next bloody prime minister will be Farage, and we always say reform PLC because they are a public limited company. They are owned by billionaires, funded by billionaires, and the people in this country are so fucking dumb that they don't even look at how well the Independent Alliance and the Greens did in this, and they just keep thinking, oh, reform, reform. But it's by design. It's how they're propagandized. It's how the media runs. It's how all this I see it with my own friends. And I always say to them, you know what? I said, if any one of you, because they're a bit older than me, I said, they're Gen Xers. And I said, if any one of you ever play Rage Against the Machine again, I'm going to punch you in the face. Because you grew up on that song, and yet it means absolutely nothing to you because you are now sitting here parroting Daily Mail and GB News, and we end up with situations.
Yeah, well, these are the same people who play Born in the USA in the States, not realizing it's taking the piss out of America. It's not a pro-American song whatsoever. So,
Exactly.
Or American Woman.
Yeah. There's a comment here earlier on by TLD. Welcome back, by the way, TLD. Selling guns makes more money for few people. Helping the masses doesn't pay the few people as much money. I'm not sure if you're trying to make a point here.
No, oh, Zan, I already covered it. You're so far behind.
Really? I'm not
Yeah.
falling asleep, by the way, Daniel. I'm wide awake, honestly. I'm not just saying that.
But I just want to get to this for a second, just to say, look, the shockwaves that this sent, okay, is put the press in a TV, and they're not even hiding it anymore because this, okay? We'll go to this, ignore this, I made a meme about it. But look, don't replace the culture war with the class war. That tells you everything you need to know of how they want to play you. They want you to be invested in this culture war, especially the right wingers. Like, you know, oh, woke this and blah, blah, this and all that. Yeah, that's the bad stuff. That's the bad stuff. You know, all that LGBT, that trans bathrooms, that's the bad stuff. Don't focus on how the billionaires are fucking you out of absolutely everything in your life. focus on that. And why is that? Well, if you look at Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, they did
Yeah.
videos and they come out about the unaliving
Oh,
of the
it was beautiful
CEO.
regarding Shapiro.
Yeah, it was beautiful, but they did the same with Matt Walsh. So they come out and they're like, the left this, oh, look at the left, they're bloodlust, the left. And their own people in their comments are saying, this isn't a left or right issue. My mother died because she was denied healthcare claim. This is a bipartisan issue. This is, we're cheering this on as well, Ben. This isn't just about, and then one person like clocked on finally like, oh, you know what? You're just somebody who's just deliberately trying to cause divide among people so we don't unite. And it's just like, well, yeah, you're finally getting it now. And people are waking up. They're finally
Yeah.
understanding that, oh, all this time, the right are just trying to divide us and do the culture war bollocks so we're distracted and don't unite to fight the class fucking war, which is what we've been saying. It's always a class war, not a culture war, Zam.
I have a question.
Yeah, go on,
Reading
Chris.
Go on.
the fact that I don't watch the news, what CEO got pewed?
The United Health CEO of an American health insurance company who has thousands of people's blood on his hand. And by the way, they ranked the highest for claim denials at 33%. They were the
Well,
highest.
my mom used to work for a company that did insurance claims, and they're ordered to deny each person at least 3 times in the hopes that they give up
Yeah.
trying to do their claim. So every time you go through
Bloody
the
hell.
process, the first 3 times, you're automatically denied. My mom had to quit. She hated it. But earlier you were talking about propaganda, and I'm not going to go into it a lot here, but we've got federal, we've got provincial, and we've got municipal governments. Our federal government is a liberal government. The opposition is conservative right now. Trudeau is our leader. Pierre Poilievre is the opposition leader, and he is doing the 3-word slogans. He's causing divide. He's saying, "Oh, look at this. This is all falling apart. It's Trudeau's fault. It's Trudeau's fault." It's like, no. People take 2 seconds to look at how our government works. When housing is an issue here, it's not the federal government's fault because they budget all this money, and you can look it up, for housing, and then they send it to the provinces, and the provinces then have control of that money. And they actually have a right, and it sickens me, to now take that money that was put aside for housing, say, we're not going to use it for housing.
Yep.
And a great example of that is here in Ontario and Alberta, where Doug Ford here in Ontario got a shit ton of money for housing. And instead, what he's trying to do is buy our votes and say, I'm going to give everyone $200. What?
That's fucking
What?
ridiculous.
No, I want my $200 and everyone else's $200 to go to housing people. $200 is maybe a half month's groceries to me. If we pool our money, people are going to have houses. But there's an election coming up, you see. So people are so daft that they think, oh, look at our premier. He's giving us money. Let's reelect him. He's so good for us. Well, let's take another look at what he did. In Ontario, we had beer stores and LBC liquor stores. They only sold beer. You could only get that at those stores. You can buy it at corner stores, right? So their contract was coming up in about a year, where it was either renegotiated or completely changed so corner stores could sell liquor. Now, Ford had an election coming up. So what did he do? He said, look, I'm going to let everyone buy beer wherever they want. So he had to buy out that contract for millions and millions and millions of dollars when it was going to end, but it was going to end after the election. So it's just, they think we're stupid. Well, some people
Typical
are dumb.
conservatives spunk away money just for their own self-gain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I just want to go to some of the comments here. Everyone remember when Taco Bell's won the restaurant wars? Well, we're not there yet. There's still a good couple of years to go to that.
2036.
Yeah. Yeah, United Health are the worst. You work with patients that have United Health. I can't imagine the fucking shit you have to go through to get that sorted. Everyone is out for themselves. We are bred that way by the media and culture. And culture. Yeah, I mean, how you look at Americans and how they behave, especially like America's a great kind of fantastic insight into the social experiment that is individualism and how detrimental it is to society. And you see it on social media and how this kind of people have main character syndrome and always out for themselves and make sure you screw your friend over, which is basically, I mean that's just English culture in general. If you know English people, that's pretty much how that culture is. They're just a lot more cunning about it, but it's more rampant in America than anywhere else. And I want to go. I've got a couple of Americans here, so I want to say this. So on TLD. Before I do that, if your job is to help people, you have people to help. Actually, helping people doesn't pay you in the long run. Yeah, exactly. But that's why you shouldn't have for-profit healthcare system. It should be against the law in any country. In fact,
I just
so go on, Sam.
I just want to add to that as well, because with what you're bringing up regarding individualism, and also this is also to do with what TLD said as well. Americans are Christians. Your religion and your ideology of capitalism, they should clash with one another, because you can't call yourself a Christian and be a capitalist. It just doesn't work. If you do truly follow your religious beliefs, if you'd like to call yourself a Christian, then you know in your Bible it's not just about hating on gay people. It's about giving away your wealth. It's about helping the poor, the sick, the needy, the refugees, all of that shit. But somehow it amazes me that people who consider themselves Christian, especially in the Bible Belt, despise fucking immigrants, don't want them coming in whatsoever. How is that fucking possible? And on the top of that, they worship wealth. They genuinely do. Do they read their fucking Bible? Do they know that this is so different to their religious beliefs?
Oh, Sam, you
Beckons
sound like
back to
a
beliefs.
fucking
And
liberal.
Jesus in the Bible didn't say worship the church. He didn't say follow the religion. He just said take my one teaching as truth, and that is love thy neighbor as they love themselves.
And
So
eat lots of ass.
yeah,
This is
Jesus Christ is a fucking socialist.
It
yeah.
was, yeah. But the US is just to show Survivor. We're all just waiting to vote the next person off the island. That is, yeah. Well,
Well,
the CEO, one of
the
the
CEO was
CEOs
voted
voted off the island.
off.
Hey, Adam W. Wahoo and Mamma Mia to you too, mate. But yeah, I mean, it was a couple of months ago when when we was doing the show, when we highlighted how evangelicals are rejecting the teachings of Jesus and calling it liberal propaganda and communist
Yeah,
propaganda.
what is this shit? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's just like motherfucker. That's the teachings. It's like you just can't. But anyway, right. While I've got the
I'm
Americans
not
here,
stereotyping you, but maybe less and less. But there are people who are Christians and Catholics, and they don't follow their doctrine. I would be shocked if they've even read the fucking Bible instead of using it as a way to keep their table straight.
okay. So on Saturday, I went for colonoscopy, standard routine thing, and an endoscopy. So colonoscopy, endoscopy. I got spit roasted, and the doctor was playing Eminem at the
Fucking
time, and I
guy.
had the best time of my life. It was awesome, and all cleared. Nothing there. A couple of hemorrhoids, but other than that, that's because I sit on the toilet for too long. So that's on me. But endoscopy, colonoscopy, sedation, waiting for a couple of hours in the hospital before being taken home, even though the sedation didn't work at all because I was perfectly fine. I was able to drive myself. How much would that have cost you to get that done in America? And I had to wear a gown, so I don't know if they'll charge you for the gown. I didn't keep the gown. It was just you wear it, then you give it back kind of thing. Obviously, they wash it. But I want to know how much those two procedures would have cost in the States. For me, it
Without
didn't.
insurance.
Yeah, with or without insurance, doesn't matter, because it's like co-pays and deductibles, and you got to pay towards it either way. It's never free. Um, it cost me anything, obviously, and the there was a blood test involved the day before that. They gave me the pack to you drink the liquid stuff that makes you shit your brains out. So I'm sure they would have charged you for all of that.
It's
I
a
was yeah,
laxative.
Rusty. It was. It was like a Diddy party, mate. I was getting spit roasted and listen to Eminem. Oh, Cheetah doesn't know. Okay, I just thought I'd
I
find out out
I
of
just
curiosity.
I just had
Couple
three.
grand
Well, I have a
depending on.
health issue going on right now, so I had three appointments at the hospital as an outpatient. Um, three exams. I'm going in for exploratory surgery in
Oh shit.
January, and it will cost me how much? Exactly. Yes, I pay taxes, but it costs less in taxes than it would for me to pay a private insurance company that would still ask me to pay for half of it at the end. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean, our tax here is what's 10%. It was at
I
11,
I
and
don't
that's
even think it's
down.
that much here. The last I heard it was like 6%.
Yeah, but
It
even
costs,
at
yeah.
like at 10% of my wages is for endless peace of mind, where I could, there's people that go in. Well, prime example, my mum, constantly in and out because cataracts and dealing with all of that. So there's all those appointments. There's other medication stuff, with the thyroids and arthritis and all this. So constantly in and out. And I know a friend of mine his mother has really bad arthritis and all that, and it just cost them a fortune through their health insurance to do it. And many times that they've tried to deny it, but they can't. Then she reached the age where she gets Medicare and all that finally, and that was a huge burden lifted. And then you've got this class of billionaires, which, by the way, I can move on to the next segment because it's not a long one. Trump's
Oh, I just want,
cabinet.
sorry,
Oh,
I just
sorry,
want to
Sam.
add,
Sorry, mate.
as you're going on about hospital as well, as somebody also from the United Kingdom, I've been going in and out of hospital a lot for my father, who's 86, who's going through all types of stuff as you would do at the age of 86. He's had people come to our home as well, carers and medical people, nurses, all of these things. That much is what we paid because I'm already paying for it anyway in my taxes, which is really no different to insurance, but it's just not done for profit. It's just
Yeah.
done for, like when people do for profit, when people pay for insurance, and they go, I don't want to pay for other people's healthcare. Well, you're fucking doing that by paying insurance. But this method means that you can't get fucking denied for profit, which is a lot better than fucking insurance companies.
And you
And
can't.
that means healthcare is focused on healthcare, not profit.
Yeah,
And it's still 90% cheaper and pays for healthcare that works.
and it's cheaper for the government as well because the American healthcare system costs triple what it would if they were all getting it free. So because the profits have just been siphoned off by insurance companies, and it's not being put back into the system. It's just not paying for itself at all. But look, there you go. So you've got to call ahead to ask what they're going to charge outright. They bill based off of the arrangement they have with each insurance company. Jesus Christ, that just sounds like a nightmare.
Thank you, Cheeto.
That just sounds like a nightmare. But
And my government, because we barter as an entire country for medication prices, we have more to barter with because of our population being what 40 million.
yeah,
So
and those
we're
companies,
bartering 40 million
yeah,
dollars or 40 million people's worth of medication at one time, whereas an insurance company might cover half that amount of people because there's a bunch of insurance companies, so they have less bartering power. That means they're paying more for the medication and they're passing that cost on to you.
yeah, exactly. Right, I want to move on from that.
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, so Trump's cabinet is going to be filled with billionaires. It's going to be literally the richest cabinet in American history, and
340 billion apparently is what they're
something like that.
estimating it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so I want to know from the right wingers and the MAGAs out there, how is that going to benefit you, especially when they're literally saying they want to cut the Department of Education, they want to cut Medicare, Social Security,
EPA,
eh? The
the
EPA,
environmental project.
all of
How
all
is
of
how is this draining the swamp? How
yeah.
is it? How is this draining the goddamn swamp? Because this is filling the swamp, far as I'm concerned, and people bought this shit.
And most of them are Mex offenders.
Yeah, well,
Snacks.
I got banned. I got banned on TikTok not too long ago, and I'm going to try and word my joke correctly because I said that after Conor McGregor got recently convicted for grape, he's now eligible to be in Trump's cabinet. And but for me, when you look at Trump's cabinet and you think to yourself, how are people not having a go at him more and more for the people that he's picked? And how dare does anyone have a go at DEI hires when you look at who Trump has picked? Because Trump's picks are the perfect argument for DEI hires because none of these motherfuckers are qualified. You go on about qualifications. Certain people they're only being picked for their race. Well, these people who have Trump have picked have definitely been picked for their fucking race because they're not fucking good enough to be doing the job they're doing. You got that dickhead, that Hegseth guy with the Nazi tattoos on his body, who brags about not washing himself. He's going to be in the Department of Defense. He's going to be the defense minister or whatever the terminology is. And this guy doesn't like women in the military. Obviously, he probably doesn't like gays in the military too.
What
Sure,
they
he's
want to
got some,
kick out trans people from the military, which is a
yeah.
huge part of their military.
And they want to, but eventually, oh, sorry about that. Eventually, they'll want to kick out people who have a different political opinion from the military, which will basically mean a good portion, maybe 50%, even if it's only 30%. That's a massive thing to kick out 30% of the military personnel because they happen to be left leaning.
Got a
It's
secret.
yeah.
I got a secret to tell you about the American military. For years now, they've been promoting people based on religion, and they've been picked a certain religion to promote above others so that they have high-ranking positions.
Evangelical religions, I'm taking it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. Like, you know, the
This
British
Hegseth guy's
military is no
hurt.
different. If you have like a left-leaning political thing, you don't get promoted in the military, even in the UK.
No,
They do that.
sorry, I was saying that this Hegseth guy, um, he's been done for like saying things like he hates all Muslims and he's been drunk, he's been going on drunk, um, made drunk comments regarding that. You got people like RFK Jr. who not too long ago was shitting on Donald Trump when he was going against him, shitting on him hard, and now is sold out, bent the knee. And Donald Trump was shitting on him too, by the way. But regardless, this guy likes to drink raw milk. You know what, conservatives? Keep drinking raw milk. Don't stop. Keep drinking it, baby. Never stop drinking raw
And
milk.
don't take your vaccines.
Don't take your vaccines, all of these things, because you obviously believe in this shit. Keep doing it. Drink all the fucking raw milk you want, man. I ain't gonna goddamn stop you. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and,
absolutely.
and all you got the Tulsi Gabbard, who's a national security risk, and she's gonna be the person of
A literal
intelligence.
Russian agent.
Yeah.
Literal, like, well, not Russian agent, but she had a lot of her funding has come from fucking Russia, and she's very schmooshy
And
with Putin.
he did this before with that Condoleezza lady, and now he's doing again
Condoleezza
because
Rice.
no, not Condoleezza Rice.
Oh.
Maybe I don't remember, but she ended up speaking against Donald Trump once she left his cabinet and she got fired or whatever. But there's a Department of
that
Urban
wasn't
Development.
Condoleezza Rice.
Yeah,
That
it
was
wasn't
Carrie Ann
Condoleezza Rice.
Conway.
Yeah, and he and she was part of the Ministry of Urban Development, and he's such a fucking dickhead. He hears the word urban, he goes, you know what? I'll fucking put a black person in there. You know what I mean? Because and that's what he might fucking do with that particular department as well. He's oh god, like it's a proper Brady bunch of fucking dickheads,
Yeah,
and this is why we have DEI, because when you have incompetent fucks like these guys, you need to get people involved who are capable of doing it, but will never be involved because of their race,
It,
and that's why we have DEI.
everyone thinks DEI
Omarosa,
is just
Omarosa,
based on race.
oh,
It's
Omarosa.
not.
Okay,
You have to be
thank you, Adam.
qualified for that position. You're not hired just on race. You're hired because you actually have the qualifications for the job, you know?
Yeah, which anyone with half a brain would do that. DEI shouldn't even be a thing. It's just like, so what they do. Oh, like a system they have now in the UK, which, by the way, like the way the recruitment system in the UK, it's just as bad everywhere. It's an American design, and of course we take it on because we don't have our own identity
We
anymore.
love copying you cunts.
But the one thing we do here is when you send an application form, your name doesn't go through. So a lot of organizations, especially ones that are just trying to hire you based on your skills, your name won't show up on the application. It will just be your qualifications and relevant information to that. And it works better. But the thing is, again, like here in the UK, most organizations will just fucking hire anyone that's supposedly right for the job. But there is a big issue with like name discrimination, big time, and I can attest to that because my name is very foreign sounding, and if you ain't seen my face, you would think it's an Arabic name. But when I changed my name from that to, I'll just say David Johnson. I won't say what I actually put my name as, but I'd say I put my name as David Johnson. I was getting interviews and I was getting responses the minute I changed my name, and so they finally caught on to that in the sense that now fucking 10 years later, they no longer look at names. And that does help people, especially if you're like a Muhammad or things like that. And it's like ridiculous because if you look at
Or
where I work,
Shaniqua even.
yeah, or Shaniqua, things like that. But you look at where I work, and my God, not only is it the most diverse group of people ever, which by the way is standard place. If you live in London, that's just standard. Like you know,
Yeah.
very rare you're going to find a place where you work where it isn't across the board. So where I work, we've got you name it, we have it. But they're all ridiculously good at the job. They're all fucking smart beyond anything, and they're just the hard workers. You, can you imagine if the place was going based on name discrimination? Then somebody called Muhammad, who we have a Muhammad at our work, wouldn't have been able to get that fucking job. And yet he's done such amazing things for us that it would have been a detriment to the company just hiring Steve, for example. I'm not saying you don't hire Steve. If Steve has better qualifications than Muhammad, then you're gonna fucking hire Steve. I'm just saying all of that. But I'm rambling on. I want to get to the point more of this cabinet is going to be a disaster, and economists, and I always turn to my sister-in-law's friend who worked for the Bank of England. He used to be an economist, and he's looking at Trump's thing, and he's like, "So yeah, he's going to cause a global financial crisis, the likes of which
Trade
we've never
war.
seen."
It's a trade war.
Um,
Trade war.
yeah, but it's not even a trade war; it's a complete global catastrophe, financial collapse. A trade war would imply you're vying for to win a trade war by giving better products in response to that. But in this case, it's literally tariffs, which will then pass on to the consumers, and there was
Can
other
I
things.
talk on this, please, for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
Because my country's going to be affected by this greatly. Trump has already said his first day in office, he's going to impose 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. And yes, the companies that buy from us are going to pay that tariff, but it's still going to impact us negatively. And
But yeah,
I
going to
do,
pass
when
on to
I
the
say
consumer.
trade war, I mean that because the same thing happened in the 1930s when the United States during the Great Depression thought, oh, what a great idea. Let's do this trade tariffs thing. It led to a trade war because our economy is going to be impacted negatively. We're going to raise prices, and it won't be just for Americans, but it will be for Canadians as well. What he's doing is completely stupid considering how much of their products come from just Canada and Mexico. It's just what are you thinking? Like all your crude oil, our gold here goes into every electronics piece of equipment that you use, your cell phones, everything. Our lumber, those are our three main things that we trade, and you need all three of those. Crude oil, my God. And he probably heard someone. This is kind of a joke. He probably heard someone say, "You're this is going to lead to a trade war," and he thought, "No, I've got a big army. We can win that."
Yeah.
I, I think he's Putin influenced personally. He's doing it because this is to the detriment for a lot of people, and this is why he's doing what he's doing, in my opinion. I mean,
Yep.
he's also doing it to grandstand as well, for sure. Look at me going after the liberal Canadians and those dirty Mexicans. You know, he's probably doing all of that shit, you know, to appeal to his base. He's got no real
He doesn't even
policies
know how
whatsoever.
terrorists work. He doesn't. He got questions on it. He doesn't know how they work.
Doesn't know how
So he
anything
just,
works, which is why, in my opinion, when it comes to his cabinet, his cabinet is full of people who like to be on camera. When it comes to the actual work of being a politician, I don't think these motherfuckers can do it. These guys are exhibitionists. They're not fucking workhorses. They're a bunch of dumb fucks. A lot of the policies that even policies that will benefit or that appeal to the terrible nature of what these people are might not necessarily come off because it requires a lot of fucking work. You know, it really does. You know, to deport half the fucking country or whatever, everyone who's got melanin in their skin. You know, even first, even natural citizens. You know, because through birthright and all of that shit. There's a level of involvement and work that is required that I don't even think he could even him or his cabinet can contemplate, which is why he's always been a failure as a businessman. Yeah,
I've
and why
got
he's
a
been
scary
bankrupt so many
theory
times.
on that.
He's a fucking idiot. Yeah,
I've
go
got
on,
a
Chris.
very scary theory on that. Everyone thinks that slavery is outlawed in the United States. You know it's not, right?
I know it's through they use the prison industrial complex to do a lot of the
Right.
work.
So what do you think will happen if they actually build holding centers? That's what they'll call them. But we know that's not what they are along the border. They can't deport everyone in a single day, right? So they've got to feed, guard, house the people that are staying there. So what will they do to offset that cost?
yeah.
Yeah,
They will
Same thing
they
they
will
do in prisons now. Yeah.
yeah, they will
Yeah.
become
Absolutely.
they'll become slaves.
Yeah.
well, America does already have the highest incarceration. I can never say that word.
Incarceration
Incarcerated.
rate.
Yeah. Per
Yes,
capita. Yeah. 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 No. Yeah. We've said all this before, but
yeah, I'm just saying
yeah.
regarding that. So they've already got plenty of
It's
slaves,
gonna get even more now.
but then they'll need to hire the guards to do that as well, which is not straightforward either. Not
They'll
everyone
probably
wants to be
just
a
hire
fucking
Mexicans and say, "Look, hey, as long as you guard in this prison, you can
maybe
stay
the
in this
maybe the
country."
military, which is
Yeah.
more than likely if
Yeah,
anything.
didn't they call that Gardo in the concentration camps where they hired uh, Jewish
Yeah.
prisoners, and it was Gardo was the term.
Yeah, and they with the promise of your family and you will you'll be fine, but of
Oh,
course that never happened. They will still kill themselves.
there's one
But
There's one country won't be paying tariffs, by the way. Now you mention that, and that's fucking Israel. You know they'll be getting all the money. They'll be given any money that comes into America. It's all going there. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
country that has unconditional support, no matter what it fucking does, is going to get everything. You know, all your tax money, Americans, is going to be going to these motherfuckers to commit a genocide and pay for their public health care as well. By the way,
absolutely.
and
Which
to
they have been doing for decades, by the way.
yep,
Your
yep.
taxpayer
Yep.
money has gone to Israel, and they've got a free, well, not a free healthcare system, but like a really good healthcare system
It's very
that's
similar to
paid
us.
for by the United States taxpayer money. And you don't even have your own healthcare system that works, but you pay for another country's one to work. Anyway, I got to go. I've got no heat, so I'm going to go bundle up.
All
Um,
right.
Hopefully, we warmed you up enough with this debate, got that blood pumping.
I
Yeah.
did.
So,
Thank
All right,
you.
Christine. Take care.
Good
See you
night,
take
later.
guys.
care.
Good night.
America doesn't actually sell anything versus what we buy. It makes Americans lazy. Well, you don't really buy, you fucking take. you
No, but
okay, we want that. Yeah.
I just want to say I mean, yeah, it'll cause a massive global catastrophe, but at the end of it, it's China that are going to come out the beneficiaries because um again, we've seen how like Trump responded to countries that are signing up for BRICS and how he's threatening them. I can't remember the exact wording and all that, but he was just like, "Hey, if you do that, then we'll impose like crazy sanctions on you." And they're like, yeah, that's why we're signing up to BRICS, because then you can't impose your fucking sanctions on us, and this is just going to make BRICS um, 10 times stronger. And it's just going to push people more and more to move on to that. And the end consequences is, look, the world keeps turning. So if America is too expensive to deal with, people are just going to trade somewhere else. They're going to move somewhere else. And Americans will be left with nothing. Like, your basic, your food. One thing Christine forgot to mention was the amount of vegetables as well, fruit and veg that comes from Canada alone, let alone Mexico, and they're just going to get
Looking at
left behind.
maple syrup, that
Yeah,
all comes from there.
yeah, they're
They
just going
love
to
that
move on.
shit.
They'll be like, okay, fuck it, we'll trade. Like even Britain will get highly impacted. So, but the thing is as well is that it's a threat mechanism to make sure countries play ball. Because if a country doesn't play ball, be like, right, I'm just going to slap tariffs on you unless you do X, Y, Z for me. And so this is also part of the thing, because you don't just do a tariff war like that unless you stand to get something from it. And for here, it's like consolidation of power for a crumbling empire. But then you can't win that way, because countries are going to be like, oh, well, fuck you. I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to trade in the dollar anyway. And going to move on to the brick system and just leave you behind. And that's what's going to end up happening. America thinks all it has left are its guns to just go and do exactly what they're doing in Syria, where a few months ago they had a $10 million bounty on a jihadist, and now they're praising him as a kind of moderate hero. We've been here before with Osama bin Laden, when they were praising him as a hero,
And Saddam Hussein,
and Saddam Hussein, and all these people that they propped up, that they gave guns
Colonel
to.
Gaddafi, all these
Yep, all of
motherfuckers.
them. All of them. And Syria is now fucked. Like the West is doing the same shit it said about Iraq and Libya and what happened in those countries. Constant civil war, constant fighting. Things are going to be worse now. No, Assad's a piece of shit. But what would you rather have? A secular nation that under a dictatorship, or an Islamic fundamentalist nation that is fractured under, religious control? You're fucked either way. You might as well go with a dictator that you had some semblance of a life before that, whereas now
I
you're
guess.
gonna have nothing, and your oil is now belongs to America. Like Syria's natural resources now, they belong to America. Okay, Turkey and Israel also involved in this. So Erdogan has fucking blood on his hands as well over this, and it's just a sad state of affairs. So we're going to see more civil war there, more expansion of Israeli territory, the Greater
Yeah,
Israel.
Syria borders Israel, and
Yeah, they've stolen land from there, the Golan Heights, and they're expanding
yeah,
even.
I just see it as just part of that mainly, in my opinion. What Israel
Yeah,
once Israel gets,
yeah.
they want more
But
land, they get it.
I, I guarantee you, Zam, I guarantee you, once the dust settles, the Islamic jihadists that's taken over Syria now, they're going to turn their guns on Israel, because it happens all the fucking time.
And
Okay?
they'll get
They
wiped out,
propped up.
unfortunately, dude.
Sorry?
I think they're not going to get wiped out. I mean, they're going to
Probably.
get.
They'll probably get bombed into oblivion. But what it is, it works in their benefits, because they get rid of Assad's regime, they put in the jihadists, then they can say, oh, look, the terrorists need to be taken out. So then they just bomb the terrorists into oblivion. And it's the perpetual thing. Israel made sure that Hamas came to power so they can use them as an excuse. They made sure Hezbollah came to power so they could use them as an excuse. They prop up these Islamic fundamentalist regimes on purpose so then they can use it in a political game to excuse to bomb and steal resources, fracture the country, because it's a lot easier to control a fractured country rather than a united country. That's why Libya was impossible until they got until the Arab Spring, where they used that to kind of funnel money into all these different tribes and all of that, and it just caused its complete collapse. And that's where we are. People are cheering the fall of Assad, and I'm like, don't fucking cheer for this, because it's about to get a lot worse for the Syrian people. They were in a rock and a hard place, and
It was never good for them. So the idea of it getting worse
uh,
for them
You're right.
I want. I want
Uh,
to. I want to talk. It's a shame Christine's gone because I really wanted to talk about the fucking Canadian postal strike.
that was literally next on my list. I'll go for it. We've covered Syria because there's not
And
much else.
I'm really wish Christine would be here for this because Santa Claus has sent Christine a big fat sack, but unfortunately, that sack full of goodies was unable to go through the postal
Customs.
service here in the UK because they know that in Canada they have been on strike since the 15th of November. You know the postal service has, which is absolutely crazy. Now, I've looked into it a little bit, obviously, pay disputes and stuff like that, but there is no other way of getting a package into Canada. You can't use UPS or all these other firms. It is a massive fucking strike. And this time of year is a big deal because any time of the year is a big deal in the sense that people have letters and things delivered to them. But when it comes to Christmas, it's a big fucking deal, man, because all the usual shit still happens, and then all the Christmas shit on top of that. And that stuff starts from November pretty much. So it was a clever time for these people who are on strike to take their strike. But my God, it's been going on for such a fucking long time that now people like myself have been affected by it. People in jolly old fucking England has been affected by what's happening in goddamn Canada. Use your
Yeah,
reindeer.
Xanta. Use your reindeer.
Xanta doesn't have a reindeer. He has a fucking Skoda. Um,
But the problem was, you see, Xanta went through this phase of smoking a lot of meat, so the reindeer kind of accidentally fell into the smoker and he ate them.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now he just has his car. But
yeah.
he
That
could
happened
go,
during the summer.
why don't you, yeah, just get SpaceX to strap a couple of rockets to your sled and fly into Canada direct. You might just, it might just be easier to just get a ticket into Canada, drop the package off, and come back.
Well, after speaking to Xanta, he went to fucking the postal service and he had a big fat sack for Leia and a big fat sack for Chris. And amazingly enough, because if you do go on strike in America, it's pretty much the end of your life. Um, the idea of the postal service going on strike there is a non-issue. So the package for Leia went through, but yeah, he couldn't send it. He couldn't send it to Canada, and I personally keep updates regarding Canada now because of this shit. So I can get back to Xanta so you can fucking send his fat sack over.
That's crazy,
But
but they've been doing that for a month. Like,
almost a
strike
month. It's
almost a month.
unheard of, and like I said, as we're getting closer to Christmas, now people are really getting pissed off. I mean, it was hard, bad enough not getting your bills and all of that, and maybe your Amazon deliveries and stuff. Now people are not getting anything sent to them, man. Like people's Christmases are going to be ruined because of this shit. But at the same time, I've always been there for the worker, and but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to make of this. Like,
It is what it is. Look, at the end of the day,
I need a Canadian to really explain this right now.
yeah, it's not it's not the end of the world. It'll get there eventually. It just won't get there for Christmas. You know, that's just that's all I could say. I wish there was a better solution. The better solution is to give the workers what they're rightfully due. But of course, in this ultra capitalist society, they're gonna string it out because they don't care that people suffer as a result, as long as they could break the worker and stop them from getting what they rightfully deserve to preserve their fucking profits, sadly. So,
Yeah,
deny people also sweets and chockies.
they're the best that Britain has to offer.
Yeah, damn right. Now, on this, the most fucked up story I found like last week was the South Korea coup, which just it's like.
Fuck the understatement.
But you know what? Like the more you kind of read on South Korea and its history and where it is now, the more you're like, okay, so they're actually a fucking bunch of idiots in that country. They run like fucking exactly how the United States wanted them to run, which is like bloody a circus, kabuki theater, and all this kind of shit. And this is ridiculous. Like your policies aren't getting through. You're trying to push these draconian policies through, and they're not getting through. And so you make up the most typical fucking right wing playbook of, oh, I'm calling martial law because, them damn foreigners up north, communist threats and socialism and blah, blah, blah. And people in your own fucking party and obviously opposition parties are like, no, fuck you. So they rush to parliament to vote the thing down, and the coup lasted 2 minutes. And now they're calling for him to step down and be impeached, and his own people are like, "No, we're not going to do that." And it's like he declared a martial law on your country, and you're going to let him get away with it, and he could just come out and apologize, and that's it. Like, what a fucking nation of cowboys they are in South Korea, man. Honestly, and then you look at the state of the country now. Obviously, hyper capitalist, because every country post World War II that was under American protection made sure that they murdered all their communists and left wing parties. There is no left wing party in South Korea. Yeah, birth rates are plunging. People are single. There's a huge incel problem in South Korea. There's like, well, I don't know if you've heard of like fourth wave
Just South Korea.
feminism in South Korea. There's a huge incel problem. Like, they make Americans look like fucking, Lotharios and sex gods in comparison. But there's a huge, like, massive, like, sexist problem there as well. And like, when I say incels, I don't just mean a couple of basement dwelling mongoloids sitting there going, "No, I can't get a woman." They're literally going in the streets and just beating the shit out of women, attacking women. There's a huge fourth wave feminist movement happening in South Korea now. Women have had enough. They're out
Yeah.
in the streets protesting. They've had enough of how they're being treated out there. It's a proper, like, fucking right wing shithole, South Korea. Proper right wing shithole. It
I
might
never
look
thought about it.
pretty.
I thought people used to call South. Somebody mentioned that South Korea are the Irish of the East, and I was
Nope.
like, no, I can't believe I'm hearing all of this. And this is really bugs me because everything I've seen of South Korea looks really cool. Like I never really took notice of South Korea until things like the Olympic Games they had in Seoul. That was a while back, obviously, but then
Yeah.
more recently they were the co-host of the World Cup, and then you got South Korean footballers coming into the UK, and then their movies and television shows are really popular as well. They there's more focus on South Korea than ever, and they seem to be a pretty advanced nation, and when you're hearing all of this, it's demoralizing,
I found I found all this out last week. For me, I just thought it's a standard conservative country that has a fantastic cultural export with its films, its TV shows, its K-pop, and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, great, but I first kind of got an idea of what the shithouse that was Korea through the K-pop stuff, because then the way the artists are treated and how they're exploited so rampantly, and I'm thinking, really, like, fucking hell. And then all this shit happens. You're like, this country's fucked. Like, it's fucked beyond belief. Like, yeah, there's just a huge, like, loneliness problem. Fertilities have plummeted, and their solutions are just ridiculous. Like, very, like, capitalistic. Like, oh, you can go home at a certain time for long hours to go fuck your partner, then come back into work, kind of thing. They work insanely long hours, like 70, 80 hour weeks out there. Like, it's really like fucked, and yeah, it's disappointing. But then you look at Hunger Games, you're like, and Parasite, and you're like, oh well, it makes sense. These things make sense because they're all about the ills of capitalism, and so it's crazy. Sorry, I just want to go back to this comment here, and then I'll come back to you, Zam. Freeze whose bank accounts? Is that the people striking or the
Probably, yeah,
Korean?
I think which is, and Trudeau might, he's talking about the Canadian postal stuff, but regarding that, I don't think he's able to do that. And do you think that could help him fucking stay as prime minister? No, you
No,
know.
he's put in a lot of good policies now because there's a threat of losing his premiership. I can't remember what they did, but it was a lot of stuff. David Dole was talking about it that actually helps Canadians, and even Doug Ford was for it, whereas Pauline New was against it purely for the sake of culture wars, rather
Have
than
you
unity.
noticed though, when people who are considered to be left or liberal or whatever, they do these policies. The right wing come back and say, you're only doing all of this because you want people to like you. Well, no fucking shit. That's politics, baby. You know, if you want people to like you, then offer them shit that's going to help them. Because if you don't
Yeah.
do that, then you're not going to fucking stay in power.
But it's the
Pay
whole point I
fuck
pay my
time off.
taxes for. I
Well,
pay
we
my
have that in
fucking
the UK.
taxes to fucking for me, for my benefit, my social safety nets, my affordable education and housing and health. I'm not paying it for some right wing cunt to fucking give it to his friends.
We have
Paid
that in
fuck
the
time
UK.
off would be great.
Oh, paid fuck time off. Sorry, I
Yeah,
misunderstood
paid
that.
fuck
Yeah,
time off.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
time to go home and fuck. But it doesn't work because then you go back to work and you work long hours. How are you going to look after your kids? You
I
know,
don't.
you
Yeah,
don't
I don't
have.
like the idea of like being told to go home whilst I'm working to fuck, and then go back to work afterwards. Once
Yeah,
I go home from work, I don't like the idea of going back to fucking work on the same day.
exactly. Like, imagine going home for your lunch break and then you're like, oh fuck me, I got to go back.
I did some bar. I did some bar work, and what really pissed me off is that they'll give you these split shifts where they'll make you work half a day,
Oh, I hate
and
those
then
split.
they'll make you go home, and then you come back later the same fucking day. It's like, oh, I fucking hated that shit, man.
Yep.
I fucking hated that shit. Once I finish work, I don't want to come home. I don't want to go back to work until the next fucking day. You know, I hate
Yeah,
stuff
no,
like that.
I quit a job for that very reason as well when I was a student. They were like, oh, it's a split shift. I was dumb at the time. I, what's the split shift? It's like, well, you do 4 hours in the morning and then you come back in the afternoon, the evening, do 4 hours. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, it's shit. I hate that shit.
Yeah,
Just give me my 7 to 8 hours, whatever I'm going to fucking work in one go and leave me alone. But yeah, South Korea, mate, honestly, like if you look at the history of it, it's so fucking well. It's just standard post World War II playbook of how they went after left wingers and the state it's in now, and it's just coming to collapse. Like the nepotism as well, how much corporations kind of have sway as well, which is pretty standard. And this again, this speaking of Trudeau's and all of that, we're talking about centrists and all of that. When I said a couple of months ago when Macron, okay, so the left, so in France, let's remember they had an election, the left wing won outright, but of course it wasn't an outright majority, so they had to form um, coalitions with other lefts and also the centrists and all of that. And as soon as they did that and they denied Le Pen and the far right, Macron, with the arrogant fucking centrist prick that he is, was already saying, I'm not going to give in to any policies that the left want. And then he put in a conservative as the prime minister or whatever it is. I don't know the fucking French thing. I think it was like a prime minister and all of that. And he wanted to push through stupid policies that were going to affect the French even worse, just like everywhere else, austerity and all this kind of shit. And now the French government has collapsed. And Macron is still allowed to, how this guy, he must have so many billionaire backers to still be allowed to kind of stay on with that kind of arrogance. But I said it, the minute he put the conservative in, I said, if I know history, the French government is not going to last. They're going to collapse. But France is the perfect poster country for why centrism needs to die, why liberalism needs to die. It stops progress, it gets in the way, and they do everything in their power to block left-wing policies and always concede to the right, so your misery is perpetuated. So be it centre, be it right, it is literally the same thing. And so now Le Pen could have an in again. So the country could end up becoming far right. And if you're looking at how things are going around the world, it's very much a given that she might just end up fucking winning. Either that or people just like say, oh, well, the left got screwed on this one. And they finally stick the thumb out there, pull the thumb out their ass and be like, let's all band together and vote the left win and finally get rid of all these
this is what
pieces.
pisses me off because the whole point of him doing the coalition with the left was to make sure this crazy bitch never got into fucking power. Yeah. And now the left wants a piece of this fucking pie that was promised to them with this coalition, and the motherfucker doesn't want to do shit.
Yeah, he denied it. arrogantly denied it as well. Like, he gloated. It's like, we saved you, and you're sitting there prancing around for your billionaire friends saying, I'm not going to let them have any power. And it's just like, well, now you face total collapse. And I really pray that the left win hard in France, that they fucking smash it, because they could get rid of these arseholes and just,
Well, they're different. They're a different breed in France compared to the rest
they
of
are.
us. So,
They are.
I'm hoping, I'm hoping that's the case because they really true believe it. Like people power is a big thing in France. We've
Yeah.
seen it, so let's just hope that's the case.
And the thing with the
Yeah,
French is they'll unite left and right when it comes to fiscal policies. They will always unite for the betterment of themselves. That's the one area where they can't break them. You can play your culture wars, but when it comes to finances, the French are always united in that front. And the only thing I ever see the British united here, even though the British are so meek, they're just pussies. You can roll over them and they won't do anything. Is the NHS. That's the only thing that unites this country is the NHS. It's like our sacred cow. And people are letting Starmer know that, oi, don't fuck with the NHS, mate. What is this talking about, like BlackRock? And he was smooching up to fucking BlackRock and all this. And a lot of people were just like, what are you doing, you stupid fucking idiot? BlackRock? You're praising BlackRock, the biggest landlords in the world, the biggest asset holders in the world that are going to run this fucking world, and you want to sell our assets to them. Idiot. But Farage will do the same thing, by the way, but they'll never tell you that. They'll never tell you that. Farage will do exactly the same shit, and they'll praise him for it. But because it's a supposed left winger, even though he's a right winger, okay, they're making sure to highlight, oh, he's selling off your assets. But as soon as the Tories get in, they'll be like, no, we don't talk about that. But yeah, so I wanted to talk about, there's two things, obviously. So with everything that's been happening in the last couple of months with with Israel, and shit that's been happening in America as well. And Hasan Piker, I wanted to highlight this because people might not like him. I don't really give a shit if you like him or not. I love the guy. I think he's fucking amazing because
he's what the left needs, by the
he's,
way.
yeah, he's literally, after everything that's happened, after all the fallout, after all the attacks leveled on him because of his stance on the genocide in Gaza, okay, after all the shit he was talking about, warning the Democrats about how they're gonna lose if they don't do X, Y, Z.
He got
So
kicked out the DNC, by the way.
yeah, he got kicked out of the DNC. He was dogpiled on by every fucking centrist, every right winger, every like
Liberal.
Zionist. Yeah, everyone. They dogpiled him. They've made his life absolute misery. They were actively trying to get him cancelled on Twitch. Like, Ethan Klein has destroyed his reputation to protect Israel. And Ethan Klein, okay, when you look at the two, well, Ethan Klein is kind of bigger in terms of sub numbers, especially on YouTube, not
On
on Twitch,
YouTube, he
but on
is.
YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. And people were so, like, understanding of what's going on in Israel, that he's destroyed his audience, like, have left him in droves. He's earning less revenue now, and he cried about it. Not literally cried, but he was moaning about it.
Only $1 million a year, poor baby.
Yeah, poor bastard. He was crying about it on a live stream, saying, yeah, but I stand by my principles. And somebody wrote in the comments, a principle of what? Standing by a genocide. That's why people are leaving you, mate. And through all the dust settling, the bullshit with TYT, the bullshit with your Matt Walshes, your Ben Shapiro's, your fucking what's
I'm done with
the
TYT.
Nazi guy, Nick Fuentes, Destiny, all of that, and above it, once the dust settled, everyone took a knee to Hasan Piker. Everyone bowed to him because he remained principled. He never took the attacks personal. He stayed above it all, especially when it was coming from Destiny and Ethan, who were trying to actively cancel him. All right. And their stock has fallen drastically, and he rises above it. And he's still getting invited to come and do brilliant speeches at Cambridge. All right. And he's held his dignity, and he's used his knowledge of the truth, basically, to come out and say, it is what it is. It's not about me and my personal feelings. This is the evidence. This is what it's like. and he's come out 10 times stronger as a result of it, and I'm so fucking happy for him because it shows that if you stick to your guns and you fight back 10 times harder than capitulate, you always win. Zam.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, regarding sticking to your guns, what upsets me the most is I've known people who I thought were on my side of the political spectrum and then changed. You know, from friends and allies. You know, to people who I used to admire on the
Yeah,
internet, like Pat Condell and all of these guys.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I try to
Landon
all
Cole.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
the one guy, I blocked him recently on Facebook. His name is Dave. Um, and I argued with him a few years ago that Joe Rogan's become right wing, and he said he wasn't. And this is somebody who used to like Joe Rogan. And we got back into our debate recently, and I said, I told you, he's right wing. And he makes all this fucking bullshit. But I also found out from other people that he's now listening to people like Jimmy Dore and stuff like that. Like how are you not able to understand that these guys are sold out? You know, like how you not, how are you not a skeptical person? How do you fall for this bullshit? You're supposed to be on our side of the political spectrum and see through the bullshit. Yet you've bought the bullshit, and
Yeah.
and I admire Hasan for staying principled. You know, he can be a bit of an asshole sometimes. I totally get it. You know,
Oh,
but you know, and I don't think he's perfect. Far from it.
no. But
But
that's
there
why
are,
I like him. Because
yeah,
it's not about an echo chamber. It's about, okay, I don't agree with everything, but I like that he stuck to. No, his main principles are what's better for the betterment of society, not my ego. That's what I like about Hassan. He's never done anything to preserve his ego. He's just gone on, this is what it is. And it cost him his friendships and all this kind of shit. Sorry, Zam, go on.
no, I'm just saying regarding people like Destiny, who at times still brings out something cool, but unfortunately, you have to always look at him with a side glance and Ethan Klein because of the perspective of things. David Patman, used to love David Patman, but he's so full of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Recently, when I watched one of his videos, he talked about what happened in Holland, you know, regarding the football and all of that, as anti-Semitism towards Jews, you know, which wasn't the case, man. But he just twisted
Mhm.
the narrative. I'm thinking, man, I used to like you, mate. I used to like you. And there are certain people, though, at the same time, who I'm a bit iffy on because they're not going there, and I think they're not going there because they know it's a dangerous subject to talk about. Like people like Brian Tyler Cohen, like Luke Beasley and guys like that, who's a new kid on the block. I do like Luke Beasley, but they're sticking with the tried and tested. They shit on Trump and their supporters and stuff like that, which is fair enough. But are you going to talk about these other subjects as well, which are not Trump, to do with Donald Trump, like Israel, you know, like left wing policies and stuff like that? Are we going to go down that route? Because I think it's very important, and that might mean shitting on people that you know has to represent you because there's no choice. I mean, like the left don't have a fucking party in America that represents them. All they got is the fucking Democrats, and the Democrats are a center right party. But it's them or nothing because the Republicans are never going to fucking represent you. You have to force the Democrats to represent you in some capacity, and that's the best they can do. You know, so
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like even people like Sam Cedar really come out great at the other end of it. There are
yeah,
so many.
something is great. Yeah,
There are a lot more, like a lot more. Rusty, I'll come to this comment because it's a great comment. But there are a lot of prominent left wing commentators that have come out on top at the end of this because they've stuck by their principles. Their subscribers like Carl Kalinske. His subscribers are
I
skyrocketing.
I
Like,
love Carl.
oh,
Secular Talk is my go-to. It's my go-to
Carl
every
is
time.
just he's patient zero for
He's
me.
my
For
new
like,
TYT man. He's like I go to
yeah,
him now straight away when it comes to
I
news.
love
Fantastic.
Carl.
So
He's
lucky
never
with Crystal
wavered.
Ball, man. I've always
No,
had the hots for her.
she's. I like Crystal Ball in general, whether hot or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
Me
I
too.
get
I
what you
think she's
mean.
great. Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
but like Carl Kalinski's subscribers have fucking doubled since the fallout with Jimmy Dawes and the fallout with
And Joe
TYT
Rogan, because Joe
and Joe
Rogan
Rogan,
was his
especially Joe
kryptonite for a
Rogan.
while, but he's now like giving Joe Rogan both barrels now.
Do you remember? Do you
Yeah,
remember? Because yeah, the biggest criticism coming from people on the left was like he wasn't going after Joe Rogan. He was like, yeah, he was, but he wasn't doing it in a way because he considered him a friend. He didn't want to be. that guy, because Carl's not that guy. Even with TYT and your Jimmy Dawes and all this kind of stuff, he was being a lot more diplomatic. But even he fucking snapped. He snapped and he had enough. And he went after Joe Rogan massively. And that helped his reputation skyrocket. And also when he just snapped with Jimmy Dore and just like, fuck this prick. And now with
And Dave
TYT,
Rubin as
seeing it.
well, yeah.
With
Has he
Dave
gone after
Rubin,
TYT because he hasn't really? Like I'm a bit weird with TYT. Look, I know. I mean, Anna Kasparian, she's a lost cause, as far as I'm concerned. She's. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what went up her ass to fucking make her truly go the way she has, because I expected a lot better from her. Jenkin away, maybe he's starting to turn a little bit because I always thought he was the saner one of the two. But he's also he can sell
yeah,
out
man.
quite easily,
Yeah.
you know.
They're,
But
they're
then there's the other members of TYT. Like there's that guy who does TYT Sports who seems to be pretty cool, and JR and I don't
John
want
and yeah.
I don't want to necessarily like put all of them in the same bubble because there are other members of that contingent who don't necessarily follow J- uh,
Yeah.
Anna
So
and Jenk. Yeah,
on that point, just to be clear, it's Cenk and Anna are the ones tanking TYT. John Jr. The sports guy, oh, I like that sports guy as well, and a couple of others have not wavered from their progressive principles. They're still the same. And if you talk to anyone that watches TYT still to this day, they watch it mainly for John. They love John. John is like they should. They keep saying like John should go
it,
off and do his own thing and all this
it
kind of
damage
stuff.
report.
Yeah, with Damage Report and all of that, he's massively popular, and anything he's done has grown in popularity. Whereas anything Anna done has just tanked because nobody's fucking interested in listening to what she has to say. And Jenk is just, and the thing with Jenk as well. So we'll break this down psychologically. For years and years and years, you are the number one progressive voice for Americans. Okay, that I mean, when your ego is out of whack anyway, that just adds more kind of fuel there. And then all of a sudden, you start saying things and doing things and acting out in ways that people don't agree with you, and they're not being horrible about it. They just say, "Look, you're wrong on this." Okay, but you're so, and there's also that Mediterranean stubbornness as well, because Cenk and Anna both have it, being Armenian, Turkish, Greek, whatever.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a fucking ego stubbornness that will not wane, and you will rather destroy your whole world rather than cave to it. And when you years and years of people kissing your ass and you're doing all the right things, and they were doing the right things and they were doing amazing, but then after Trump came to power, that was it. It just changed from there. Not Trump now, Trump back in 2016. It all just started changed from there. Their frustrations grew. They were getting a lot more pushback from people saying, "What are you doing these fucking loser Donald segments? Why are you focusing on this kind of stuff? It's really stupid. Focus on policies and all of that." Then the union stuff happened. And then more, and people just started to see the cracks. They're like, well, they're not really that progressive at all. They're actually just centrists
Well,
parading as
look,
progressive.
it took me a while because genuinely I thought like even though people complained about them, I thought okay fine, you have your issues with them, but I still think that they're more on our side than not, if you know what I mean. And that's the thing with sometimes with people on the left is that if you're not 100% on your side, then they'll sometimes discard you, even if you have certain differences and issues. And for me, I didn't want to be that sort of leftist person. I thought to myself, okay, yeah, they have issues and differences, but I'm still cool with these guys because we are pretty much on the same side. But recently, like wow, like I'm not so sure now.
No,
the
the writing. Yeah, I mean, I called it back in 2017. I was just like, no, I know what's going to happen now. They're getting called out. They're going to double down, and they're just turning. They're going centrist. I never thought they'd go right wing. I said they go center or center left and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, Jenks stubbornness and arrogance and Anna's whininess and this whole their brains broke when Trump got elected and they just became unwatchable because they kind of they just kept focusing on just weird shit like oh look how Donald eats a fucking burger or whatever it was really trivial shit that they never used to do. Well, they kind of did in their early days when they were
Well,
kind of
they would
recognizing
mock
the
the
issue.
right for doing the same thing about Obama
Yeah,
having mustard in his burger and not ketchup, or fucking wearing a tan suit. and then mock the
Exactly.
right for that. Yeah, you can't do the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
You
And that's
know,
why I
like
ended up. I was just like, I don't need these guys. I've got, at the time, Jimmy Dore hadn't gone full nut job yet. That was COVID that fucking turned him into because when he started doing anti-vax stuff, that crowd came in. So I was like, okay, so I fucking fucked off
well,
Jimmy Dore.
but they know the money's on the right wing. I mean, you can be a successful left wing star, but the true money's on the right because these fuckers will these fuckers will follow you till the end of the year and they'll donate to you and you can actually rip off your own fans and they still love you for it. You know,
Exactly.
you know, you know,
Exactly. But even that money cow is now wearing off because, like Jimmy Dore and things like that, their
yeah, he's
viewership
losing views.
plunging, they're
Mm.
losing views and revenue. Nobody, not even right wingers, want to deal with Jimmy Dore anymore. Like, no, he doesn't go anywhere. He's just fallen off pretty much completely. But you'll see, like, just now with the whole CEO stuff as well. Wouldn't be surprised if Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh people just like
I don't know regarding Ben Shapiro, like because Ben Shapiro had an issue with some of the anti-Semites on his side of the political spectrum, and people had a go at him as well for that. Like people like who when he shat on Nick Fuentes, and a lot of people like Nick Fuentes, but they still stay with Ben Shapiro regardless. Ben Shapiro is your token, and he just happens to be your token. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Zionist Jewish person to a degree, so he might recover from this. And same with Matt Walsh as well.
Well,
He'll just go back to shitting on trans people again, and they'll fucking love his ass.
yeah,
You
but
know?
the thing is like, so we're talking about that now, but in the future, when Trump comes in and all hell breaks loose and everything just goes to shit, you'd hope, might not, that his audience are like, what are you talking about now? What? But we're fucking starving here, and you're still talking about trans people and all this kind of shit. Because it's going to get a lot worse for Americans coming up. So we'll see how their audience is reacted. But if they don't react, then yeah, you're right. It'll just be fucking same shit as always. But in terms of with Cenk, like Cenk, the nail in the coffin for him was the Hasan Piker, the Thanksgiving stream that they do every year, where he was just so arrogantly saying, "I am the left. All the other left aren't the real left,"
No,
kind of
no,
thing.
no.
Did he
Fucking
shit on
bitch.
you,
It
you bastard? Well,
just
you got
missed
that.
me, but
Carry
got
on.
my chair.
Oh, bastard. But yeah, he was just so arrogantly saying like, "I am the left," and all these other people are like posers, and he went after like Sam Cedar and all this, and people just like, this guy, yeah, it's an ego thing. It's an ego thing. He hates the fact that he's no longer the king of the hill. That's what broke his
It
brain.
annoys me because he should be the godfather. That's how
Yeah,
he should be. He could like you don't have to be the main guy, but you could be the guy who brought everyone together. And you've blown that, Jank. And now people are going to look at someone like Sam Cedar as the new fucking godfather.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly. Carl
And
Kalinske, Sam Cedar.
all
I
of these
think I
guys,
think it's Carl Kalinske that's kind of now like the new Godfather, if I'm being honest, because of the way he's exploded. Oh, Hassan. Well, Hassan is the king, I
yeah,
would
Hassan
say.
doesn't do stuff on YouTube. I mean, Hassan's a Twitter. I don't go on Twitter. Oh, sorry, not Twitter, on
Twitch.
Twitch to watch
Yeah,
Hassan.
but
I
he
watch
does. He has clips. So if you go to
on
Hassan
YouTube.
Abi on YouTube, so
Yeah, I
everything
know.
that you
I
see is
watched that.
strip.
I watched that, but I
Yeah.
don't. I look at him more as a Twitch guy than a YouTube guy.
Oh, I see. I was just
If
talking about a progressive voice in general, Twitch or YouTube,
yeah,
regardless.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
I
get
mean,
what
yeah.
you mean. But yeah, I just meant like in general. So
But the problem is with Hassan is his connection with Jenk, Jenks being his uncle and shit like that. Let's get to Rusty's comments. He said too many people living on the internet. Go outside, talk to your neighbors, get some sense. Well, you know what, mate? My job is to go outside because I drive a cab for a living, and I do talk to people. I don't really talk to my neighbors that much because we're in London, mate. We like to mind our own fucking business. But
yeah,
nevertheless,
I think it's not a personal attack on us. By the way, he's just saying like too many people in general are living on the internet. Go outside, talk to your neighbors, and I agree. Like I legitimately agree. Like the it's not healthy being terminally online. It really does fuck with your mental health. It fucks with your perspective on the world. it's not good. Like if it was up to me, I'd have it where you just went online to do business and the odd chit chat and all that, but go and socialize more. Go back to the pub life. Go back to just going out there and meeting people in person. So I made a thing because I've become really reclusive, and it's not done good for my mental health and all of this kind of shit. That's why I really wanted to come to your comment, Rusty. I find myself, I'm terminally online, and I have been since my health kind of went tits up. But because my health is uh, better-ish than what it is now, I've made a point to become more social, especially in the last month. So when I went to a work event, and my best friend, she was overseeing the venue that we were at, because it was like a clinic where we had, I think they have a big hall, so we hired out the hall. And reconnecting with her rather than messaging each other, but reconnecting her with in person, and then bumping into another friend of mine, and then going to my friend's wedding as well, and all this kind of shit. And it just dawned on me. I'm like, I've become too much of a recluse because of my legs, because I've gained weight as well, and I don't like the way I look and all this. But I'm like, I can't do this. I really enjoyed being back outside and socializing with people. So in the last couple of weeks, I've just been making an effort to get the fuck back out there and touch grass, essentially, and it's done wonders for me. It really has, and I recommend. Like Zam does it, that's part of his job. He's out, at least he's out there
I can't
fucking
wait to
touching
get back in
grass.
the. I can't wait
Yeah,
to get the back in my fucking house. When you're out there all fucking day in the miserable rain and shit, and you're driving about, and you got some privileged cunt in the back of your car. You can't wait.
okay,
You
well, I'll
can't.
take that back.
You can't wait to get the fuck back in your house and play some video games and do some NerdTube and shit like that. Do a review. I got to do a review later of the Lioness season 2, episode 8. And by the way, that's a fucking American's wet dream. That last fucking episode of that season.
Oh, there you go.
It was America, fuck yeah, shoot, shoot, shoot. Look at those Arabs, those Iraqis. Bah, 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 bah. We're gonna kill them all. Kill all these fucking Iraqis. That's what they're
You can
doing in that
picture
last
him with a
episode.
MAGA hat just
Mate,
blowing his load.
they fucking blew their shit out of a whole bunch of fucking Middle Easterns, man, with fucking guns and rockets and fucking RPGs and you fucking name it, man. Like every fucking hillbilly would have been jerking off to that shit. But anyway, that's a whole different matter, yeah. But the point is that because I work outside and I'm always out and about, I can't wait to fucking come home. It's really and by the being online, mate, we're online permanently whether we're inside or outside because we have phones, and our phones are just as good as computers. And so this internet world is everywhere, mate. Whether we're sitting
Yeah, I
on the
mean,
chair or sitting on a bus.
you're not wrong, but the point is to just get out and just interact with people in the real world more. That's more the kind of thing of it. And for
I
me,
did though, but I no, for me, sorry, interrupting, but I've been
that's all
there,
right,
done
mate.
it, worn a t-shirt. Like everyone else in my lives now, like everyone, they're all like got families and all that shit to bring up, and now they're sacrificing their own personal needs for the sake of their kids because that's what it means to get older. My brother, not too long ago, went to Vegas with a lot of his childhood friends, just maybe a couple of years ago, because him and his mates, they all have kids, but they're all their kids now are in their fucking 20s, so they don't need to be fucking mollycoddled and babysitted anymore. Finally, him and his mates can do something they used to fucking do back in the day when they were their fucking kids' age. You know what I mean? But they're in their
Yeah,
40s
yeah,
and
yeah.
50s now. It's just life just ever changing. That one minute you can do all of these things that you like to do, and now you do it less. I don't go out all the fucking time, but when I do go out, I fucking love it because you know what? I don't do it all the time, so I appreciate it. My neighbor a few years ago got married. I got absolutely fucking pissed at his stag night, which was at his house just a couple of doors away from me. I got smashed at my fucking face, got drunk and everything. I had a fucking great time. But when I woke up the next day, I was so hungover, bladder bursting, dehydrated, and it made me realize that even though I had a really good time, I don't miss this life anymore. I've moved on from this life because I can't get fucking drunk and party like I used to when I was a fucking kid. Things fucking change, mate. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
how I. Yeah.
the way you're looking at it in that regard is the fact of going out and getting pissed. I'm just saying go out and be social. Like even if it's just go to a coffee shop and interact with just the real world and all this kind of stuff. That's it's not about the party aspect of it. It's just the social aspect of it. And whilst we are like I'm not different to you. Like in the sense that I'd rather I'm happy to just be home and fucking roll up in bed and that's paradise to me. But I've been so terminally online and so reclusive when I never used to be like that. Like literally, right up until my mid 30s before my health went, you couldn't keep me indoors. I was always out doing stuff and partying and having a good fucking time and all this kind of shit. And then when my health went, okay, you readapt. And I got very comfortable doing the online thing and social media a lot more than what I used to. And all this, but I'm at a point now where I'm just like, I want to go out more. But the thing is, what I mean is to Rusty's point is that yeah, it's just so much better for your soul to just go out and interact with the real fucking world every now and again. It doesn't have to be every day.
Well,
But
like what we do though, like when Boss Man came down and we went out for fucking dinner and stuff like that.
yeah,
That's
that was
pretty cool.
great.
We've already spoken about maybe checking out all these venues to eat and shit like that, and maybe make a Fat Man series. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And all of that. That's on the cards as well. It's just what we do with our time, at this stage of our lives, in my opinion.
but even like it just that like even if that's just like once a week or once every 2 weeks, not what we're gonna do, but just in general, that's still really good for your
I have
mental.
poker nights with my friends. I don't even do that on a regular
Exactly,
basis. We have
exactly.
poker nights and shit like that. It's a good laugh, and we all look forward to it when we get together. But it's so difficult to get a game now. All of us are like a contingent of 10, 11 people, because and not all 10, 11 gets to play together because we all have different shit to do in our lives. It's difficult connecting with people when people could be far away. You might lose contact. People have got commitments which they can't stray away from. It's difficult. But I agree with you. I agree with you, Rusty. But I actually like to do it in. I like to do this shit less because when I do it, I fucking love it. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you do what you. I'm not saying you guys. Yeah, no, that's what I mean, Rusty. Like I'm talking about personal, but people in general are too terminally online, and it's not good for them. It's not. We were talking. Oh, that was it. That we had this. There was this massive discussion on. Hang on, let me go into my memory banks now because it was only last month, but I think it was on Reddit. It was on Reddit. No, no, it wasn't on Reddit. No, a friend of a friend. She was having difficulties. She wants to get on the dating scene, but she's fucking had enough of
One night
online.
stand
No, no, online dating. She hates it. Like it just doesn't work. There's always it's full of like fucking sleazy cretins and all this kind of stuff.
in cells.
Yeah, so she was asking my friend about where to go to fucking meet people and all this kind of shit. And then my friend relayed it back to me because I used to be really good at giving advice for certain things, especially social things. And I relayed back to say, look, just give me your friend's number and I will text them about good places to go. And basically, all I said was actually, it was 3 months ago, but all I said was, look, if you're sick and tired of doing online dating, find what your hobbies are, go to events and nights geared around hobbies, so not dating, okay? Find and go to concerts, gigs, festivals, and all of that, because in these places you're meeting like-minded people anyway who are have a common interest as you, and you start a conversation. You make your regular friends, and they might have a friend of a friend that might introduce you, and all this. And anyway, long story short, within a month, she's now dating somebody, and they've been together. I think it's a month and a half, and that's the longest relationship she's had in about 6 years. So the point is, it's like it's not just about going out. It's about where do you feel you're gonna go out and have the best time. Like I always say, concerts. I love concerts because you can have such a laugh out there, and you meet like-minded people. And I have pulled at so many fucking concerts. It's where I've pulled probably the most, even if it's just for like a one-night thing. And if a lot of the times they live fucking too far away to kind of have any kind of meaningful relationship and all this kind of shit. But what I'm saying is find a common ground, find something you actually like, even if it's online, and then find it in the real world. And it does change your life for the better. So a good example is, the film The Room, that really shit, like one of the worst films
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. Hi, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark. So, what's the spin off from that? The spin off was from that. I really like this film. Oh, God, they're showing it at this cinema. So, I'm going to go to the cinema, which I did as well. And there, you actually met like Greg Sestero and the other guy, the Polish guy as well. They were there as well. But you go to that cinema to watch the same film that you all love because it's so bad, like-minded people, and you're all quoting the lines as the film is playing out, and everyone's having a fucking really good time. And there's hour-long conversations and socializing, all this kind of shit. So it's not just about music; it's about anything. Find something that you like and do it in the real world, like where common people gonna go. And I guarantee you, that's the best way to start if you're a recluse. Do that. You met your girlfriend on Facebook. That's awesome. I'm happy about that. Is she attractive? Yes. If you're talking about my friend's friend, yeah, yeah, absolutely stunning. But because you're stunning, you're going to attract a lot of dickheads. So through the methods that I suggested, she's actually found somebody now, and I pray that it lasts for as long as they want it to last.
And it can be done because she's hot, whatever. Please tell
Yeah.
me you use a keyboard to cover, per because use a keyboard cover because bird poop between the keys. It's happened now and again, unfortunately. But my keyboard is over here, and it's on a tilted thing, and all of that. Yeah, but they do.
Shut up.
Yeah, look, I've got tons of these. I've got tons
Wipes.
of these. These are antibacterial wipes, and when you own birds, like I knew my bird right now was about to do a poop, so I quickly took her off the fucking microphone stand, put her back in the cage, let her do a shit in there, and then I grabbed her again and put her back here. You get used to that. Zam, get a cat or take care of your bird problem. I'll look into that. A phone to me, just a phone. I still have a cord. Oh my god. Okay, well, we all have to have cords on it to some degree. Even the cordless ones have to have a docking station with a cord on it. Let's all go.
I don't think that's what
let's,
he's meant. I get what you mean.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no chance, Rick B. Look, when I turned 30 and I went clubbing, I realized, you know what? I don't like this shit anymore. Like everyone's like 10 years fucking younger than me. It just doesn't feel right, And I went clubbing a couple of times afterwards, and some of those moments were okay. But what I like doing is if you're at somebody's wedding and then they play some fucking Boney M and shit like that, and you hit the dance floor, yeah, fair enough, that's all good. But actual clubbing for the sake of it, I like to enjoy myself and party for a reason, not because it's fucking Friday night. Fishing is very therapeutic, even by I love fishing. I just haven't got any shit to do fishing with. I'm not saying you guys, but whole in society, fair enough. It's very important to socialize in person. I try to do as much as I can. Like I had a Muslim guy in my car, and when he found out I was an atheist, an ex-Muslim, he we debated. At one point he actually prayed in my car, but it was a long journey. I was taking him from Hampton back to Edgware, and it was a long journey. And after he finished praying, and we were debating about religion prior to that, I said to him, your God, he's pretty egotistical, don't you think? And he needs to be worshipped 5 times a fucking day, have his ass kissed on a regular basis. What the hell? All of these sort of things.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that I've put a seed of doubt in his mind after our conversation, because I
Probably
get
not. But
I'm not afraid of telling people I'm an atheist, but at the same time, I know that there can be repercussions from that. I've had death threats, being an ex-Muslim. I've had death threats and stuff like that. People can't believe, they can't even fathom that somebody would be ex-Muslim. But once I let it all out and I tell them, like I got no fucking time for it. I'm too busy paying bills to worry about fucking what Allah wants. You know what I mean? I like to fucking sodomize fucking transgendered girls on a regular basis. Like how the
all
fuck
right,
can
you're
you call me?
derailing the conversation now. You've
Yeah,
gone
but
on to like,
the point is, I'm talking like you can't be you can't be Muslim when you're doing it. I like to have it, even though I hardly drink because of my job. I'm not stopping myself from drinking. I like pork, all these sort of things. I like to gamble, here and there, play poker and all of these things. I believe in premarital relationships, not, all of these things. Like, there's nothing remotely fucking Muslim about me. I like to chill out with the kafir, the same thing you motherfuckers do, but won't admit, you know.
Yeah, every
So yeah,
fucking Muslim does it. They won't admit it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Anyway,
clubbing, but I need to group to go out. But would it be like a 40s nightclub, Cheeto? One of those ones. Where they'll be like playing, hot stuff, baby, this evening, those sort of tunes. The TLD kids these days don't know how to go clubbing. Too much drugs and crap. Mate, I did that back in my day, dude.
nah, no,
Well,
no, no. Hang
maybe
on, hang on,
not,
hang on,
not,
hang
not,
on,
not
hang
the
on.
crap music,
No, no, no. Hang on.
but the
Let's
music's
be
crap now. Like
yeah,
like mumble rap is just the worst. I
yeah.
despise it.
Let's be perfectly clear here, TLD. This generation is not on the amount of drugs that my generation or the previous generation were on.
Yeah, they must
Like
be pottery class.
this fucking generation is thankfully I praise it because I'm glad the 46% are less on drugs and drinking than my generation. It's only like a few years removed. But it's more. You're absolutely right. They don't know how to go clubbing in a sense that. So the last time, the nail in the coffin for me, social media has ruined clubbing in every sense of the word. It has Americanized it over here, and I fucking despise it because it was always look. My issue with my lot, Turks, Greeks, all that kind of shit, is they make clubbing feel so pretentious. Like it's not about having a good time, it's about flexing. And social media sent
Yeah.
that over the edge. Like if a place has a very strict dress code, it's run by a fucking Turk. Okay? Because the best clubs don't have a dress code. They don't care what you fucking wear, as long as you don't wear a hat for CCTV purposes, obviously. But and then you go into these places and you're not having a good time. You're very wary because if you bump into someone, you're going to get into a fight, or no one's just having a good time. They're all taking a piss out of each other, flexing, and all this kind of shit. Social media made that worse because now it's about flexing by buying bottles. So you're buying £150 for a fucking £30 bottle of bloody Jack Daniels or whatever with all these fucking flares and all this kind of shit, and you're sitting in your little VIP corner and you're very excluded, and it just doesn't feel social. The English way of clubbing is everyone's the same, everyone's on the dance floor, get as fucking drunk as you want, have a laugh with all this kind of shit. Well, that was the kind of Turco-Grekish side of it. Since social media, even the English started doing this kind of shit, and it really, that was it. The last time I went clubbing, everyone was fucking Snapchatting themselves on the dance floor, then stopping in the middle of the dance floor to post their things on social media. So taking up all that space on the dance floor, nobody was having a good time. I fucking hated it. I was pushing people out of the way. I was legitimately pissed off, and I just said like I said to the fucking guys, like, you gotta just stop people from going in the middle of the dance floor on their phone. And on that principle, I have an article to get to before we go back to the kind of social chat stuff. I won't put it on there because I can't be bothered. I'm just gonna read through it here. So this is from the BBC. It goes nightclub stickers over smartphones. Nightclub stickers over smartphone rule divides the dance floor. What a stupid title. A new nightclub is
Nightclub.
opening this week with a strict rule that your smartphone camera must be covered with a sticker. Amber's in Manchester is the latest in a handful of venues in the UK to enforce the policy. But in cities like Berlin, renowned for its nightclubs, it's the norm. So look, I'm not going to read the whole article. Basically, they're saying put a stick on your camera so you're not sitting there clogging up the dance floor, fucking constantly taking selfies, filming things that other people don't want filmed. So if you're drunk and you're falling over or something's happening and you're filming that against somebody's wishes, it could ruin their life if you put that online. So they're bringing in this kind of sticker rule, and I love that rule. I'm like, you should not be allowed to be on your phone on the dance floor. If you want to go sit in the corner like a hermit, because I don't know why you're going clubbing in the first place, but do that there. So I do like
People
this
on
rule.
the fucking dance floor with their phones, and like they're
Mate,
talking to
Sam,
people, and they're like playing fucking fucking Pingu or whatever the fuck,
No, listen, the last time I went
Blinko.
clubbing, it was literally this is. I'll play out for you. Okay, it's my phone here. Yeah, fucking woo, yeah, singing along to whatever song was.
Oh, they're filming
Stop the
themselves.
Snapchat for like 5 minutes, just sitting there like, yeah, having a fucking great time, emojis and all this kind of shit, and you're like,
Oh shit.
motherfucker, you just filmed yourself for 5 seconds and you spent 5 minutes making sure all your social medias have just seen you pretending to have a good time. And then they shove it in your face because you're the only one actually dancing and having a good time. It's like, fuck off. And so I was like, okay, I'm done with clubbing. Let's move on to restaurants and just chilled up
I,
stuff and
I,
trying
I,
different.
I need to answer this. I'm bursting here.
Go for it.
I'm off to Cyprus on the 15th. How much it take me? First of all, Rick B, I can't go on a public platform like this and talk about doing private jobs. When I'm working for a company called Addison Lee and say, yeah, I'm going to take you from Southeast London to Gatwick, but I can't fucking do that. Secondly, I live in Northwest London, mate. There's no fucking way I'm coming down to Southeast London unless I've ended up there through work to fucking take you to goddamn Gatwick.
No cabbie would.
No fucking that's what
No
a
cabbie.
15 mile journey to pick your fucking melanin hating ass, self melanin hating ass, to fucking Gatwick. I can't even give you a price, mate, because I ain't fucking doing it. No offense.
Where you going? Whereabouts in Cyprus are you going to, Rick?
Probably the Turkish part.
Clubbing is in the nursing homes, Am.
I
Yeah, I
wouldn't
hate
mind that,
people.
to tell you the truth. Yeah, I hate when people do the photo. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
This is new to me. Like, I don't. I think the last time I went night clubbing, I'm 47 now. I think the last time I went clubbing, I was 32 years old.
Yeah, well,
It's been
that's nearly 30 years ago now, you old fart. So they didn't have
15 years
smartphones
ago.
back then. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, 15 years ago, the
I,
smartphone had just come out.
that was in Brighton when I went clubbing, and it was all right. I had a good time back then, but
Yeah.
I just
It,
had no desire to ever go clubbing again after that.
look, it was from 2014 onwards that it really just changed for the worse. That's when Instagram and Snapchat really took off around then. And it just, even my own friends were doing it. I was just like, no, can't do this. No, you're meant to be on the floor having a really good time, just dancing to the music, acting like a moron, not sitting out on your bloody phone. Just go home and do that, or go to a fucking pub and sit in the corner and do that. And yeah, so it's heartbreaking. But then a couple of months later, my legs gave up on me anyway, so it was all fucking doesn't matter. You're going to Larnaca, you're flying to Larnaca, but are you staying in Larnaca? I don't know why I'm asking like it matters. Like I'm just saying it out of jealousy. Are you going for a holiday or a wedding or whatnot? I love Cyprus. I've only been
All right, let's
once,
go.
but
Let's go into the next. Let's get these subjects out of the way.
oh, I'm done on my subjects, mate. So you crack on.
Well, what else is there on the list that we haven't talked about?
That was it. I've covered everything.
Have we?
Yeah.
Nick
Yeah.
Fuentes. Nick,
Huh?
Fu- Nick,
Oh yeah, Nick Fuentes getting arrested. Sorry,
Nick, Fu-
I
Nick
forgot.
Fuentes. Let's check this out. I'm not doing any
Yeah,
TikTok traces this week, by the way, but I
no,
want
that's fine.
I'm going
We'll
to show you this
finish it
little
off soon
clip.
anyway.
Here we go. Nick Fuentes has been, and by the way, there are pictures of him with his mugshot out. But check out this. This is why Nick Fuentes went to jail
Hi.
or got
Oh
arrested.
my God! What are you doing?
Get the fuck out of here.
He took the phone.
Yeah,
That's Nick Fuentes literally double locking and everything, like fucking Norman Bates. Nick Fuentes, because he made a video after Trump won and goes, "Your body, my choice." He was bragging about it, yeah. And this, by the way, Rick B, one of your favorite people, Nick Fuentes, because he's a neo-Nazi who supports Donald Trump.
oh, that's nice.
But yeah, he's
I had the
self-proclaimed
money
neo-Nazi.
on you, believe me.
Regardless,
Yeah.
regardless, he was bragging about your body, my choice, and all of that sort of shit. And next thing you know, because of that comment, he seemed to be quite reasonably unpopular, and then he started hiding at his mum's place. People knew where his mum lived, and this one woman decided just to knock on his door to see
No, no, that's where he
Nick.
lives. He lives with his grandmother.
Oh, really? I
He
heard
lives,
that he.
he's at home with
Okay,
mummy, with granny, and they
I'm
doxed him.
surprised because the guy's got a lot of money. He's made a lot of money, so I'm surprised he needs to live
But he's a
with his
mama's boy,
family.
innit?
Regardless, they went to pay him a visit, and that was a result. Some woman just knocked on his door just to talk to him, and he ended up pepper spraying that person. And now Nick Fuentes is yeah, he's let me see if I can find the
He was
picture.
arrested a couple of weeks ago. He wasn't just arrested. He was arrested a couple of weeks ago, but it's just come out that he got arrested for the assault, and
Yeah,
he's going to court. I don't know when he's going to court to face charges for it. And but the thing that cracks me up with Nick Fuentes is like this big fucking like woman hating Nazi with a name like Fuentes. By the way, that's not going to get you very far. But then it turns out the huge revelation was that he's actually gay, and
yeah, he's gay
he
as
got
fuck.
sucked off by Destiny, a fucking prominent left winger.
That I'm not so sure about, but that's what people are saying. But look, he had this is one thing for real. By the way, there's his mugshot. By the way, isn't that a beauty?
That was
Um,
nice haircut.
yeah, but look, they're merchandising the fuck out of it already, as you can
Yeah.
see. Like, yeah, but regardless, he had a friend of his who was part of his movement, and they were both incels. They actually bragged about being incels, but then his mate ended up getting a girlfriend. Yeah, and all of this sort of stuff, and he was spending less time with Nick, and I think Nick kind of got a bit jealous about it. And at one point, Nick took one of those sort of like lights that can in the darkness can show stains, and we're looking for all the fucking stains that have occurred in his mate's bedroom with his girlfriend to prove that he's been having sex with her. Even though why you need to prove that? Of course they're gonna fucking have sex with each other. And he got really jealous, and for that reason alone, he kicked his fucking friend out the house or whatever. But apparently, he was really like in love with his friend. The guy's never been seen with a girl ever. He doesn't mix with women or anything like that.
Standard
He,
self-hating gay conservative.
yeah. So, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's weird in a way because the problem with the anti-gay movement is that a lot of people in the anti-gay movement tend to be gay themselves, but they're still in the fucking closet.
Yep.
And
The
now you're
vast
not an
majority.
incel. You're not an incel. I mean, you might want to get a shag, so do we all. But you've already, if you look at your, I'm not going to mention who you are, Cheeto, publicly because it's not my place to do so. But I know who you are, Cheeto. What you have in your life can't make you an incel. It can't.
No,
It's
you're just an
impossible.
arsehole. There's a difference. There's a different
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
incel. You're an arsehole,
yeah.
not an incel. Yeah, Rick, Destiny sucked off Nick Fuentes. That's the rumor circling, and I'm not
That's
here
the
to
rumor.
debunk it. I'm not here to debunk it because they're both unbelievably horrible human beings. Both,
Oh, but but the rumor with Destiny is that he was banging Lauren Southern, which is why which is why his wife broke up with him because him and his wife have open relationships, but I think she drew the line when it came to fucking a conservative. So
that's the best sex you'll ever have is with somebody you're the political opposite of because it's angry sex that it's just awesome. I don't know. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? It's probably bollocks, but yeah, you're an asshole. Exactly. But yeah, Destiny he's just a horrible fucking person. And there was again rumors with him that he was actually mentally. I don't know if it was physically abusive, but mentally abusive to his wife as well, and all this kind of shit. And it's
his
just
wife is
like
fucking gorgeous,
the
but Lauren
worst.
Southern was pretty too. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, the worst kind of left winger are the ones that are fucking like self-centered, narcissistic, fucking egomaniacs. Who like they've got the right principles, but their ego is so fucking fragile that they'll turn into like the most horrible human being if you go against them, kind of thing. Because again, like if you look at Destiny's fan base and all this, and the way he even treats his own fan base, and he's just the worst. I've never liked Destiny. I've never liked Volsh, Steve Shives, all these kind of people because they're more about ego first than principles first. And it's like whatever, nothing. anything that happens to Destiny, he kind of deserves it. He made his bed. He deserves to lie in it. If he wants to suck off.
Yeah, but you can't say about ego first and then be a fan of Hassan because Hassan's about
No,
egotistical as they
no.
come.
Hassan is not ego first. Hassan, like if you know Hassan, if you watch Twitch, he's not ego first. Ego first meant he will double down on a principle that he's wrong on, but he doesn't do that. He concedes very often that just because he does the
I
pretty
get,
boy all of this kind of stuff, but he's
I get
very
what you mean. I get you.
self-deprecating. Yeah, he's very self-deprecating with his humor. He'll always hold his hands up when he's wrong. He'll just be like, "Yep, sorry, that's my bad. Oh shit," kind of thing. He won't double down principle or alienate a fan just because it bruised his ego. There's a massive difference. Whereas Destiny, if you disagree with him, he'll destroy you, kind of thing. You know, that's the fundamental difference to understand. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's everything. Don't know if you
I
got
mean,
anything else.
just to round up on that, there were people on who
Oh,
are
sorry.
lower than the pecking order who were like that in our political groups as well. Like remember Bionic Dance? Remember her?
Yeah, I remember her. Yeah,
And I
exactly.
thought she was
Ego first.
a cool person. But sometimes we would have debates and stuff like that. And like I think we were talking about Star Wars one time, and she said the word Captain Solo. I go, he's not Captain Solo, he's General Solo. And and then we were debating this, and he goes, yeah, but she goes to me, but he's but he's called Captain Solo because he's the captain of a starship. And I go, being a captain of a starship is like being called a driver. It's just a terminology about who's running the vehicle, but his rank is that of general, not captain. And we debated over that, and she fucking wouldn't concede, over that particular issue. She had a fucking hard time. And what I've also noticed with Bionic Dance is that she loves to be worshipped. You know,
Yeah,
she
yeah,
loves to be
big
fucking
time.
worshipped and stuff like that. And I wasn't one of her ass kissing followers, unfortunately.
I never liked her. I
And it's a
just felt
shame because
wrong with her.
I did like her. I did like her, and then I started disliking her because I started the layers were being revealed, and I started to find out that she was a bit, she wants to be one of these people on YouTube who does create good shit. She's a good artist and all of that sort of stuff, but she wants to be worshipped.
Yeah,
I mean, and I was
yeah.
never going to do that.
I can't deal with people like that. People that need their ass kicked, need to be worshipped, and are turned really horrible if you prove them wrong, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, okay, I'm not gonna deal with you. Like, I've got enough in my life, so I'll just fuck you off. Like, Thunderfoot was the same. So many of them were the
What about
same.
Coughlin?
Huh? Coughlin, I mean, he's the same, but we still have enough there in terms of like other stuff where I don't need to get into debate with him, because if I get into debate with him, I'm just going to lose the fucking will to live. Because he was another one. He would not concede if he was wrong. And I mean, okay, he's generally just like, he's got a lot of issues as well and all this kind of shit. So I give him leeway because he's not a complete bastard.
Yeah, we all have
But
issues, dude. Sometimes people give
no, I
people too
get that.
much.
But he had like, you know, there was a lot of like health issues as well going on and all this kind of shit. And we've always got on well on the comedy aspect of things. So we got on great on comedy stuff. So that's always what's kept me friends with Coughlin and all this kind of stuff. Anything I don't agree with him, I just won't say anything because I don't want to get into the the meat and veg of it, because I can't be bothered, because he was another one where he just wanted to be praised and never proven wrong and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, well, with you and all that, but we're not like to the point where we communicate 24/7 with each other or anything like that. It's just we send the odd meme to each other every
There was
now
the
and then.
praise stuff. And same with people like Riff as well. Like
Yeah,
I've told this before. Like I mentioned that I made a joke to Riff. I said you look like a fat Toby Maguire. Yeah, and then he just never fucking liked me after that. I was saying that in jest, but then I started to find out that this guy's a bit of a fucking asshole. But somehow because people like Coughlin has given him leeway to be the token Republican, people are
yeah,
cool with
and
him.
all of Coughlin's like fucking sycophants were just like, oh, well, they must be all right. And we're like, no, he's a fucking asshole.
He's a fucking asshole, and
Yeah,
then lo and behold, Coughlin finally falls out with him, and so does fucking everyone else.
yeah, everyone
Like
else. Yeah,
I
that
told you,
was
he
the
was a
one
fucking
thing.
asshole.
So it's not really Coughlin that bothers me at all, because he really doesn't. Like I said, I've said my issues. it was his fans that really fucking pissed me off because it's like you're an atheist community yet you're worshiping the guy like a god, and it's just like have your own opinion, man. If you don't agree with him, just fucking don't agree with him. Like nobody's infallible in this situation. It was the same with Thunderfoot's lot and all those kind of people, and it's just like always put your ego aside because you don't grow and you alienate people in the end because people eventually are just like, nah, fuck this guy. You can't be reasoned with. Just don't like the people that the group of from that original group that I'm still friends with. You notice we all just have a similar kind of sense of humor and similar kind of ego, as in it's flexible. You can be wrong. You can have a good laugh. You don't have a stick up your ass about everything and all this kind of shit. And they're the ones that remained. And obviously politically we all kind of align as well, which helps.
Well, look, that's the problem with just generally being a left-leaning person, being a leftist and self-proclaimed. The problem is with our side is that we tend to
I
come
don't hate
down
you,
on each
Rick.
other.
I just think you're a fucking idiot. There's a big difference.
Yeah, the problem with our side though is that we tend to come down on each other way too hard over anything, and that is a big problem with being a left, with being someone on the left. I've lost friendships and relationships with people because of certain jokes I've made. I showed you that clip
Yeah.
of the fat person, and we're fat ourselves. And there's a fat person diving into a pool, and the next, there's a clip of all this water just escaping this particular, yeah, whatever. I don't hate fat people. I have no disdain against fat people. The same with that Madonna joke. I don't hate Madonna. I don't hate women, all this stuff. But I'm making a particular joke about that particular person, or I'm making a particular joke about that particular person. You can make jokes about people and not have it come from a place of hate, which is what makes me a left-leaning person and not a right-wing leaning person. Because a lot of the time, their humor comes from fucking hate.
Or
I can
punching
still make
down.
a
Yeah.
yeah, or punching down. I can still laugh at people and not have to hate on them. You know what I mean? That's the difference right there. But unfortunately, especially with the American left, they just don't fucking get it
Yeah,
sometimes.
I was about to say it's
Yeah.
mainly the Americans because I've got every German, Greek, English, Scottish, oh, except for William now, but all the other ones like that were kind of non-American. I've stayed friends with. I've lost a lot of American left friends because they have they're too fucking virtue signaling, like too like tribal, and it's like you have to like the specific things that I like, and if you deter from that, and
Or
if
you
you
can't
veer off
say
from
this, you
that,
can't say that,
yeah,
and
we cannot be
uh,
friends, and you're human garbage, and you're worse than fucking Hitler. And it's just like no, and that's when I like years ago when I kept saying about the fucking. I was saying, look, the left just need to focus on the money, Lebowski. That was always the thing. The money, Lebowski. Don't do the culture war stuff because nobody's ever gonna find grounds there. It's a waste of fucking time. Focus on the money, and that's what the left do here in the UK. They focus on the fucking money. No matter how much they try to thing, we're just like, no, workers' rights, NHS, all that kind of shit, and that's why it's better here.
just a comment here. It's fine to joke about anything, but once again, it depends on where it comes from within you. When you see someone like Dave Chappelle making jokes about trans people, he fucking does it because they're an easy target for him. He doesn't mind shitting on them. There is you could just see between the lines. You got to see between the fucking lines. He hates them, and he likes to fucking rip on them. They're an easy target. Take the piss out of them. I can make a joke about a trans person, and it's not coming from a fucking place of hate. I can make a joke about an Irish person, whatever it may be. It's not coming from a place of hate. I can make a joke about a Republican or a right winger, and it is coming from a fucking place of hate. But I do hate those motherfucking those motherfuckers. Most of the time, I'm happy to fucking admit that. So you got to see between the fucking lines.
But it depends. Look. It also the context of it is like shitting on a right winger is not punching down. They have everything. They are in
Yeah.
control of everything. They've got all the resources, and their policies are literally destroying civilization and causing death and destruction all over the world. So it's like punching your master kind of thing. So it's not punching down at all.
Oh, don't say
In,
this.
sorry, go on.
Look, one of my best friends was black. Please, just stop
Yeah,
saying stuff
look,
like this. You know what I mean? He's using them because they're easy to fucking shit on. You know,
Well,
when
no, let me. Okay, so I'll get to that. I want to explain the thing. So the thing with Dave Chappelle is he got offended and annoyed because gay people and trans people took the spotlight away from the black struggle. And it annoyed him because Dave Chappelle has always been. Oh, my camera's gone off. There we go. He's always been about the black struggle being always needed to be the center of the conversation. It's in his comedy, it was in his shows, it's in everything about it. Then he just got offended because gay white people and gay trans people that are white, trans people, white trans people kind of come in, and he feels that his lot have been shunned to the side, and he took great offense to that, and that's why he went on the attack. And because, like again, his pathetic little ego and his pathetic little tribal mentality got him to that fucking point. It doesn't matter if your friend is trans. When you get pushback and then you double down and you become more vitriolic and more hateful towards a community rather than say, okay, that was a bit fucked up, I shouldn't be punching down, then you just showed to be a fucking arsehole and an egomaniac that you always have been. Now, Dave Chappelle's one of my all-time favorite comedians. But since he doubled down on the trans thing and he's gone further right, it's just like, oh, this guy, he's just a typical comedian. And comedians are not nice people, be they left or right. They're very difficult people to deal with. They're very cool. I know this because I had a lot of friends that are comedians. I'm no longer friends with those people because they're fragile. They're always angry. They're very antisocial, despite them being. And the comedy is just an outlet for them to kind of express themselves in a way where they can't in the real world. But in the real world, they're very insecure, they're very arrogant, mostly insecure, and suffer with a lot of anxiety. And unfortunately, they don't know how to handle that, and they lash out and they're violent or abusive or all this kind of shit. So Dave Chappelle was no different to this at all. It's very few comedians that you get that are
Ricky
very
Gervais
like
did the same thing. You
Ricky
know,
Gervais, same thing exactly. Joe Rogan, the same fucking thing.
Joe
You
Rogan
know,
was pro-trans and all this shit, but the
yeah,
moment it became beneficial for him to start shitting on certain demographics and stuff like that, he did it. So yeah, and by the way, Joe Rogan, like Cousin Cheeto, is no comedian.
yeah.
And
No comedian.
I saw Joe Rogan's comedy fucking special. My God, the guy's awful.
Oh, it was
Um,
terrible.
it was
The
fucking.
one he did 5 years ago was hilarious, but the one he did now was terrible. It went straight into like the anti-vax stuff. I was like, oh no, that's it. I'm done. The UFO stuff was great. Like the stuff he did with the UFOs, the aliens. I thought that was hilarious. But then he went into the conspiracy stuff. It's like, okay,
Look,
we're done.
when Ricky Gervais was doing the Oscars and all that, fucking fantastic. Chef Kiss, the way he was ripping on those privileged fucking motherfuckers, it was beautiful. But those people, he's punching up, and I have no problem with that. The moment you start going after certain demographics of people who are still to this day getting shit upon, then yeah, I have a problem.
Yeah, and
And
just look at. Sorry, go on.
no, I'm just saying. I know I said earlier that I do make jokes about trans people myself, but once again, I'm not. When I do make a joke about them, I'm not trying to like hate on them when I make a joke about them. Unlike Dave Chappelle, who made a joke when he saw Jim Carrey doing Man on the Moon and was pretending to be Andy Kaufman, and he was in character being Andy Kaufman the whole fucking time. And I could just tell where Dave Chappelle was going with the story because the punchline was about taking the piss out of trans people. You could fucking see it a mile off. You know what I mean? Basically, being in character as Andy Kaufman is what he thinks trans people are, just being in character.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And yeah, he's full of shit. He's a cunt.
yeah,
Fuck
and
him.
also Gervais's comedy has always been about punching down. Like if you hear the stories that came out of The Office and what he was like there, and then you have fucking Life is Short, which was literally his just amusement at laughing at that actor, the little guy, I forget his name. Wicket and Willow, that actor.
Oh, Warwick Davis.
Yeah, Warwick Davis. Despite of what it looked like on film, this was Gervais getting off on a little person just doing the struggle to do basic things. Pissing Derek as well, and his stand-up comedy is always
WWE
about
did that.
punching down. And people that followed him on the comedy circuit, even Coughlin himself, okay, will tell you that he is massively insecure about his weight and his tiny feet. He's got very tiny feet, and he's massively insecure. And somebody, Gervais was somebody like he'll give it, but he cannot take it. And on the circuit, somebody made a joke about his tiny feet, and Gervais did everything to try and destroy that person. This is the kind of person Gervais is. He's not a good person. He's a piece of shit, but he's atypical of a lot of comedians, who are just so fragile, have a lot of insecurities, and the ones that punch down the most are the ones with the most insecurities. That's their
Yeah,
outlet. They need to feel
this is one
better about
stupidest comment here.
themselves.
You have to admit the notice. Have you not watched the Daily Show, dude? Every person they fucking host it nowadays because they got John Stewart back, and the co-hosts are all fucking stand-up comedians, and they kill it every fucking time.
Yeah,
You know what I
Billy
mean,
Connolly is one of the greatest comedians of all times, and he's practically a communist.
Lee Evans, absolutely fucking
Yeah,
hilarious. You know, there's that guy who does a show on the BBC. I forget his name now. He's quite young looking, but he's probably like in his mid-30s. He's a tall, lanky guy. Um, I forgot his name.
I know the one you mean. It's kind of blonde, windswept hair.
Yeah, yeah, short, but short hair, but yeah,
Short
blonde.
hair now, but yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah, he's pretty good. But no, there's loads like even Reginald D. Hunter, fucking uh, I forget their names now.
Lee Evans
What's
is
the
fucking hilarious, man. Yeah, at one point he cracked
Lee
America.
Evans
He was in
great.
American stuff. The guy was doing American stuff for a little while.
Exactly right.
The guy was in the film of fucking Jackie Chan, and he did
Yeah,
something about Mary, and you have to have something about you to go from stand up comedy into that. I'll tell you one person who was crap, but who was left wing was Russell Brand.
yeah, yeah. He's always stand up was always fucking terrible, and he was left wing at the time. There's that
He
other
was left wing.
who's that fucking there's that Asian guy who did the Daily Mash that got cancelled because right wingers found it too offensive. But he's left wing and he's not funny at all. Like
Oh, Paul Chowdhury.
huh? Not Paul
Uh,
Chowdhury. Chowdhury's great.
Rogan Josh, what the fuck his name is?
Forget his name. Not
He's
Ramesh
got like a lazy.
Ranganathan. I
Yeah,
like
he's got the
Ramesh.
lazy eye.
Ramesh is great. No, it's
Omar
another guy.
Jelly is also he's left wing. He's hilarious.
Omar
Uh,
Jalili, he's more centrist than left wing.
really?
Yeah. He's more of a centrist, but he's hilarious. Same with well, he's not really a comedian, but Sanjay
Nish
Bhaskar.
Kumar.
Nish Kumar, thank you, Rigby. Yeah, him. Not funny at all. Like just unfunny, and he's left wing.
Well, I'm a bit like that. I've had Paul Chowdhury and that Rogan Josh guy in my fucking cab, by the way, and I have to admit that, like, Paul Chowdhury, not all of his stuff sticks for me.
Yep, that's
Like,
fair enough. It's a bit
it can
outdated. His
pick,
stuff.
doing the cultural comedy and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and all of that. Sometimes it works, and then like it, then he'll add to it by swearing in Punjabi or some shit like that. It works sometimes, but not all the time.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, Nish Kumar. I like the dude, but I don't like his comedy at all. You know. It just is what it is. Yeah, but I
I had
like
him in my cab.
Paul Jowdry's it's good, but I get it if his stuff doesn't land and
I'll
all
tell you
that.
who I did like. He doesn't do much nowadays. Is Russell Peters. He was fucking brilliant.
Oh, Russell Peter was great, but unfortunately he was a joke stealer.
Was he? Oh, I
Yeah,
had
he was
no
a
idea.
big joke stealer. Yeah, he stole a lot of Gina Yashari's
I had
stuff.
no idea.
Yeah. It's unfortunately he's a bit of a prick. But I loved his stuff. I do. I absolutely fucking loved his stuff early on. It's the same with Dennis Leary. I was a huge Dennis Leary fan. Then I found out he was just a massive joke stealer, and that fucking broke my heart. Because I was just like, oh, Dennis Leary was one of my favorite comedians. He just stole all of Bill Hicks's fucking jokes. I was like, fuck. And he
Well,
stole
that's okay.
his shtick as well. But like I said, comedians are arseholes. That's just it. Like they're fun to watch on stage, but you don't want to be friends with them. You know, Bill Bailey is another one. Bill Bailey's more centre left, I'd say, but he's still funny to this day. Like I
Where
love
would you
Bill.
put Bill Barr?
Bill Burr.
No, yeah, Bill, the one from The Mandalorian.
Bill Burr is he's centre left as well. I'd put him centre left. Um, but he's a bit like say you and I, where although he's kind of left leaning in that regard, he'll call the stupid shit out that the left do, kind of thing as well, and he'll do it in a
Good
way
for him.
where people think he's right wing, but it's just like, well, no, because he's about to come after your lot and a lot harder, kind of thing.
No,
So
he made fun when he made fun of the UFC thing, and he saw Donald Trump there, and he was making fun of it, saying, "What the fuck is this? The Republican National Convention and shit like that."
yeah,
And when people also find out that he's got a black wife as well, that kind of pegs him down a bit for some of the hardcore right wingers. It's the
yeah,
same with it's the same with what's his face, JD Vance, who, by the way, we never see anymore. By the way, he's like disappeared
he's
off the face of
disappeared.
the earth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
Elon
he's
Musk has
got
taken his post.
yeah, Elon Musk is now the new vice president.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he's got an Indian wife, and a lot of the white supremacists and the Republican Party and the right wing didn't like that either. So
Norm Macdonald's fucking hilarious, like an
uh,
absolute genius. That guy.
yeah, and he had a farm, EIEIO. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's
Hey.
wrap this up.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up just quickly. Frankie Ball, I never really found funny. I like his politics, but I don't find him funny. I never liked his comedian. His comedy was punching down. But I did like his sketch show. That was unfortunately cancelled because he did make a stupid joke about Jordan's child Harvey, who's fucking, you know, severely autistic and disabled. So
Surprised
yeah.
he's been alive for as long as he has. Considering
Well,
you
no, he's
know.
on. He's just like people with autism. You know, like Harvey and all of that. The rest of their health is probably normal, so they'll live a long life. It's not like Down syndrome where, or anything else where it's like you're on a kind of like maximum 35 to 40 years life cycle. Even though for a lot of people with Down syndrome now with medication, it's improved their life expectancy. But people with autism, they live like very normal
Yeah,
lifespan to everyone else.
he's
Yeah, the sketch
Dwight
was
York. He's
hilarious.
Dwight York's son, isn't he,
Yeah, it's
Harvey?
Dwight York's son.
You don't
But
see Dwight York do anything with Harvey, man. Like you would think,
no, he doesn't.
like
He doesn't have anything to do with him. He doesn't. He's not. You know, he's your atypical fucking footballer, who just like shagged around and 50 kids everywhere and doesn't want to deal with anything like that.
he must pay some form of child support at some point. Initially, the guy's
Well,
fucking loaded.
he probably would have up until he was 18, but Harvey's in his 20s now, so you
Yeah,
know.
but he's not a kid. Sorry, he's not like he's somebody who needs obviously medical attention on a regular basis for.
Still the same rules apply though. Once they turn 18, they can wash their hands of them. As if he paid anything in the first place, because you know he wasn't British, so he would probably just fucked off abroad. Because once
Back to
Dwight
Trinidad,
retired,
yeah,
yeah, you never saw him again.
where
So
fucking the pound will last forever in that fucking part of the world.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. You know, what would
he
you
made a
rather
lot of
stay here or
money.
fuck off back home to Trinidad in a Caribbean paradise? I think I'd rather go to the Caribbean paradise, especially one of the more stable ones, which is Trinidad. So yeah,
Mhm.
cool. All right then, we'll wrap this up. Thank you to everyone that joined us in the comment section. As always, great conversation. We managed to cover all the topics that we wanted to cover, which is great. And on that note, we'll
Oh,
leave
so
you. Sorry, go on.
before you go, I've done several reviews of various things. There's a show called Rivals on Disney Plus. I really recommend people watch that and then watch my review. There's a show called The Man Inside. Got a similar vibe to Only Murders in the Building. Not 100% like that, but still there's a familiarity to it. Worth a watch. 8 episodes, but half an hour an episode. You can binge it 4 hours in a day
Oh, is
quite
that it?
easily.
Oh, I'll give that a
Yeah,
try.
Ted Danson. I've got a McFlurry and a chocolate pie review out there on YouTube as well, and I'll be bringing out today or tomorrow my final episode of The Lioness season 2, a series that people need to fucking watch. It's a really good action-packed series. Lots of guns, lots of bullets, lots of pew-pews. You name it. It's America. Fuck yeah, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Free bags full, sir. America, America, America. But it's done very, very well. You know what I mean? Regardless of it being because like a lot of Taylor Sheridan stuff, it is very Americana. At the same time, it can be quite woke. At the same time, it's really he's got the balance just right.
Sweet. And on that.
So far, so far.